Hey everyone, welcome to episode 62 of the Bonehead Podcast, where we talk all things Blood Bowl. Welcome back, I'm Ben, and once again I'm joined by Blood Tithe Ben. How you doing, BT?
Hello. I'm doing good, thank you. How are you?
Not bad at all. Sporting a very fine lockdown haircut there.
Hey, I feel like I open every podcast talking about my hair, so we'll change it up. What do you think of mixed teams in Blood Bowl 2020?
What do I think of it? Not enough of them, man. I mean, I love mixed teams. It's just such a great way of expanding the amount of teams in Blood Bowl. We've got 29 standard teams. If you chuck in mixed teams without any restrictions, there's 812 teams to choose from. And that's more Blood Bowl. And more Blood Bowl is more better.
Yes, it is. So yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about today, I think, isn't it? Is some mixed teams. We're going to be going into that in a bit more detail. We've also got a secret Bash or Dash game show coming up as well. So
I am unnecessarily excited about this. I've got sound effects lined up and everything. So yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit. But like you said, Ben, we've got mixed teams, and mixed teams are a great way to double the fun. So we have doubled the fun on the podcast today, and we are joined by returning guests, Miltonio Banderas, or Milton Allblock Smith. Milton, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Good. And also, we tricked Ian Warhammer Hannum onto being back on the show. Ian, how are you doing?
Hey, yeah, good, thanks.
I love that. Hey. It's a great way to start.
I am also pretty excited for this game show. I still haven't quite grasped the rules, but I'm just going to use my buzzer, and I'm assuming it's 50-50, so why not?
It is around about 50-50. I took out all the ones that weren't. It's like roulette in that way. And it's kind of, up, down, and then there's a little bit of... Anyway, we'll absolutely discuss that in a bit, where we play our first and probably only game of Bash or Dash. And I'm very excited about it. So, right, we've done the intros. We talked about the nonsense. Let's move on to news. Okay, so first up, we've got some Blood Bowl news, and we do have a few third-party teams to talk about. There's nothing on the Games Workshop front at the moment, is there, guys?
Not if you include all the exciting new, Cursed City stuff.
Oh, Matt, Cursed?
Cursed
City.
Shake your fist. No, I'm assuming you've mentioned the spike already. That's the only thing really on the horizon.
Oh my goodness, Ian, well done. I'd completely forgotten about that.
Well, yeah, it's quite forgettable, I think.
Yeah. All right, we'll circle back to that. First of all, we've got the Metal Aces. So this is a Kickstarter here that has got 12 days to go. So it needs to be funded by Wednesday, March the 3rd. So about a week and a half when the podcast goes live. 32mm resin metal head team for fantasy football. Have you guys had a chance to have a look at this Kickstarter?
Yes.
What are your initial impressions?
I think the renders look really nice. I would say the prints, it's got the home printer look, which I think is fine, and that's really good. I think it's not the kind of resin cast definition from the photos that we see from some other companies, but I still think they're looking pretty good.
I think there's an art to having the actual miniatures produced and presented well on a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
I mean, so the little breakdown of it, basically it's a bunch of metal looking guys that, I don't know, what do you reckon, WWE style?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A
little bit
compare them to. There was a while ago. It's like a Jack Black cartoon. It sounds a bit weird, but it's all these heavy rocker metal things. Hopefully, someone will pipe up and remind us what that glorious show was.
With
Jack Black.
Ah, amazing!
Yeah.
Brutal Legend, kind of.
That sort of thing. Yeah. Oh, was that it? Was that a game?
That was the game. Yeah.
Ah, okay, yeah. Maybe it was that I'm thinking of. It's something like that. But that kind of style, just like over the top kind of metalhead.
That's really accurate, actually, for this. Yeah. Imagine, if you're familiar with Brutal Legend, think of that and the characters from that, and that's pretty much this as a team.
I quite like the dwarves. They look like little bikers, like old style sort of gang bikers.
So they've put the Kickstarter together in quite a clever way. They've got a bunch of linemen, they've got a big guy, they've got some positionals, and like Milton said, they've got some smaller style players, which I don't know if they're dwarves or halflings. I think, because of the makeup, they're halflings. And the way they've done the actual Kickstarter is they've got different team sets using the same miniatures. I mean, Ben, we see that a lot of the time in third-party teams, don't we?
Yeah, definitely.
And I think it works pretty well. So, Milton, I know that you're not on board, or I don't know. Have you taken the third-party team dive yet?
No, never done it.
Okay, so for a Blood Bowl team, third party, what would you want to pay if it looked as good as the Games Workshop one? Let's
I'd pay sort of like around the sort of 50 to 60, maybe pushing it to 70 if it was something I really wanted.
Fantastic, because that lines up with the price points here, which are definitely kind of medium. We've seen some Kickstarters that are 70, 80 pounds. We've seen some that are ridiculously cheap. So the normal one, still just absolutely awesome at €24 per team of 16 individual miniatures.
Yeah, that's bonkers.
Yeah, they are looking good, by the way. I cannot wait for them to be shipped soon. So they've got a couple of different rosters. £44 for the Metalonia, which is the Kingdom roster. So this is for Bretonians, which is a bit awkward. Because even though Milton is rocking Bretonians like an absolute boss, they've been
such great fun.
They're kind of gone now, though. And I think when we come to talking about games in a second, Milton, I'm going to pick your brains on the whole change between Bretonian and Imperial Nobility. But this Metalonia one is 14 players, 4 blitzers, 4 blockers, 6 linemen for £44, which is reasonable for a third-party team.
That's really good.
Yeah, and it doesn't actually say what they're made in. Does it actually say if they're resin or not?
Looking at the pictures, they look like 3D printed resin.
Yeah, it is resin, because I remember them putting on Facebook and seeing a comment about the heavy metal team being made in resin.
Oh,
right. Oh, yeah.
That's fair. That is very fair. They've got another version here, which is a Snowbound, which is Norse, 1 Yeti, 2 Ulfs, 2 Blitzers, 2 Catchers, 2 Throwers, 6 linemen. So what's that? 12, 13, 14, 15 players for £53. So if you like heavy metal, if you like this metal kind of cartoon biker WWE look, this would not look weird on a Sega something or other, would it? These guys,
yeah,
totally.
Especially
the Streets of Rage team.
Yeah. Oh man, Streets of Rage. Is that the pixelated one? The like 16-bit. Which one was that?
Yeah, it's kind of like futuristic Golden Axe.
Oh, that's sweet. Love. You can't beat Golden Axe.
That's a great game.
This is a Norse one. They've got nobles as well. So ogre, 2 blitzers, 4 blockers, 2 throwers, 6 linemen, £53. They've got humans. And they've got 3 halflings, so the little dudes are halflings. So, but I think that's the great thing about third parties is you can use them for different stuff.
Yeah, I feel like with them. So I was going to say, yeah, if you really like the theme, you can get a lot of mileage out of them.
Yeah,
definitely.
Because but good. Obviously that comes with a bit of got to be a bit careful, I think, in terms of being really clear with your opponent what's what.
That does tend to be the downside.
If you can make it obvious, yeah, and maybe like doing it with base rings and stuff like that, just to really hammer home what's actually what.
I think each of these like minis is quite distinct, though. I think they're quite like the different sections. They're quite clear as to what they are. Separately.
Yeah, I just feel like if you're only used to playing fairly traditional Blood Bowl, and someone says, "Oh yeah, the bikers are actually blockers," yeah, just that kind of, it's a completely different kind of something that you're used to, really. But
Let me introduce you to the Imperial Nobility team, Ian.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, how many feathers does that guy have? Yeah. Well, the last big thing is £105. You get 33 players. Ogre, Treeman, Yeti, 2 Olves, 4 Blitzers, 4 Throwers, 4 Catchers, 2 Throwers, 6 Linemen, 4 Blockers, 2 Dwarf Blockers, 1 Dwarf Blitzer, 1 Dwarf Runner, 1 Dwarf Troll Slayer, and 3 Halflings. So that's basically every human adjacent team in Blood Bowl. Oh, the Yeti's actually pretty cool. Do you like the
Yeti a lot?
They have varied up the sculpts there. He's got a head that's the same size, which is interesting. As he's pulled the head off. I mean, the sculpting's quite good. The Tree Man's quite interesting. That looks like Square Enix made that Tree Man. This kind of got a video game vibe, and I do like it. Not for me, this one, but they've got shields there for the Bretonnian one. They've done a great job making all the variations anyway, and the Ulfs are there done separately as well. Yeah, I think you guys.
Sorry, just to clarify, it says at the top as well. Yeah, they are printed in resin with UV resin high definition printers.
Ah, fantastic. I wonder if we're going to see more of that as we move on.
I think so too. It's fantastic, isn't it? How you can now produce pretty damn good quality stuff at home for under £200. I think that's awesome that people are able to do this.
There's not a STL version, is there?
There's not, which would be nice.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yes. Interesting because we saw that with one of was it the Amazon one that they did the standard resin teams, and they also did the STL files as well, which basically catered for everybody. Anyway, this Kickstarter, if you're after a fancy human team, 9 days left to go. They are at £600 out of a target of 2,600, so they've got a bit of a way to go. That is Metal Aces. Next up, we've got another Kickstarter that's wrapping up real soon. So this one has got 70 hours to go as we film. So it is going to be ending on Sunday, February 21st. So this podcast is going to be out on Saturday. So if you're listening to this on Saturday and you have not seen it or heard of it, go check it out. So this is the Hashut Dragons Double Team for Fantasy Football by Dankai Miniatures. Now we've seen, I think, these miniatures before, most of them, or some of them at least. Basically, it's Chaos Dwarves. Mm-hmm. And there's a couple of different pledges. £35 will get you 2 Centaurs and 6 Chaos Dwarf blockers. So if you're just looking to upgrade a team, you can do it that way. There's the Scythe Blins team at £53. 2 Trolls, 7 Goblins, 5 Jesters. Which are the special weapons. So £53 to get your Goblin team, essentially. Hashut Dragons is 6 Dwarf Blockers, 2 Centaurs, 1 Minotaur, 7 Goblins. And I think there's an all-in one. There is. All-in, £79, 6 Blockers, 2 Centaurs, 1 Troll, 1 Minotaur, 2 Goblins, and 5 special weapons. So you can kind of... Again, it's very similar to the human one we've just looked at, isn't it? Where they've got the different angles for the different teams. I mean, Ian, what do you reckon to the Chaos Dwarf sculpts?
I like him. I actually really like him. I really like the kind of it's going to sound really stupid, but the spikiness to them. They've got that kind of
very spiky.
Yeah, they're really. You can tell they're chaos, definitely. I like their kind of. They've got a fairly classical big teeth, almost like tusky teeth, which is pretty classic of Chaos Dwarfs. And yeah, I think they've nailed it. To be honest, I think they look really good.
Minotaur.
I love the Mino.
Yeah, that Minotaur's wonderful. Really, with the little broken horn tip, a massive chain around him.
Yeah,
that's really clever.
That eyepiece on the Minotaur. That feels like. Is that like a thing for Blood Bowl Warhammer? Because I feel that's quite iconic. That kind of
I think it's
makes it look like a Blood Bowl head to me.
A gladiator thing, actually.
Yeah.
Is it?
Gladiators, yeah.
It's basically the safety glasses for gladiators. The whole idea, I think, it's got little holes so they can kind of see out of, but not really. But it protects you against glancing blows and stuff from swords and things.
Yeah, because there's quite a few teams that use that. I think. Well, AOS Nurgle certainly do. have that sort of thing.
Yes. Yeah.
The Beastman, the Minotaur from Forge World does as well. I think actually, doesn't it?
Oh,
That might
does
be
one
why
of
it
the
looks familiar.
options.
the mutated one might do.
Yeah, the kind of was it for the Warhammer World exclusive one?
With the claw.
Maybe something like that. I seem to remember a helmet. It's something like that.
Yeah. I don't know. The only miniature here that sticks out just looks slightly awkward are the bull centaurs. I get a Dr. Robotnik vibe from one of them.
Yeah, the ones. Oh yeah, it's like if you remove the back, you mean?
Just take out the
Kind of
legs,
metal legs.
and he looks like he's kind of just a dwarf sitting in something. Now I don't know if that's actually supposed to be a bull centaur as a organic creature or some kind. It just looks a little bit machine-like, which when you're talking about Chaos Dwarves makes a ton of sense, doesn't
It
it?
suits them, yeah. And I think probably some of the look comes from the fact they're trying to get them on a base.
Oh, yeah,
they're
definitely.
a bit more
Yeah,
thoughtful about the
definitely.
base, like particularly the rearing up one. So I imagine that's quite player friendly.
Yeah.
The biggest thing for me about them is they kind of have a bit of a Warcraft vibe. Particularly
Yeah.
the troll, the troll's face, and the hobgoblins, and even the minotaurs, fairly Tauren-esque.
Yeah, the
that really
shoulder
popped out
pads.
for me. As a fan of Warcraft, I really like that, but it still stays fairly true to the sort of the Warhammer aesthetic as well. That's quite cool.
I do think we're seeing a bit of a rise in WoW style when it comes to fantasy stuff. I mean, Grebo, which we're going to talk about in a second, their Black Orc team and their goblins, they've kind of got that. I don't know what's the best way to describe WoW? It's kind of like video game fantasy, I guess is
There's
big. Yeah.
yeah. I
It's
think
always
you're right.
really
It's very
tricky.
hero-y,
Like a
isn't it?
slightly more heroic
Yeah.
scale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, like quite big wide heads.
I always
Very
think
over the
massive,
top.
yeah, like sort of Space Marine style shoulder pads, but in fantasy, remind me of WoW. Like huge
Completely.
shoulders.
Oh, then you must
that.
love AOS.
Yeah, you'd love the 80s, Ben.
You'd love the 80s.
And you missed it by a couple of decades, I know.
I think they look really solid as well. Like, this is something I've said about quite a few of the Games Workshop minis. They're really fiddly and they break easy. And like one of the things I like about like the Orc team, for example, is like their kit's quite straightforward. The minis look great and they're really solid to like push about on the pitch.
Yeah.
And I think these guys look like they'd be really good for that as well. I think they look
Yeah.
quite
Yeah,
sturdy.
That's fine.
Although they're
Hmm.
spiky, they're not flimsy spikes, but
No, not at all.
when you look at them, you wouldn't be too worried about laying them down on their backs. Or they look like they're.
They are metal, so I'd worry in that sense.
Oh, nonsense.
Nah. Just
All
varnish.
my metal stuff chips, even though I varnish it with 50 layers, I still get
Never
chipping.
had this, but, I don't understand the complaint, to be honest.
They do chip if you chuck them in a box with other stuff.
Yeah, but you just don't do that, or put them in a foam case. It sometimes rubs off, doesn't it? But,
That's true
Yeah.
actually as well.
Maybe that's what it is, actually.
Yeah.
A bit further down. They've got like a Zope like half to swap out for the centaurs.
I've only got as far as the mutated troll with the claw, which they've got some. I mean, they've got a ton of cool stuff here. Unsurprisingly, I love the big guys, and the troll is pretty sweet. The Minotaur is really sweet. I think I'm gonna have to get this Minotaur because do a special Minotaur Monday for that.
some cool star players, actually.
The Blunderbuss is really cool.
That's really
Yeah,
cool.
very cool.
They've got the Bombardier, they've got the Bulls.
The
they've got
chainsaw's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, I like him as well.
Oh, wow.
I think
Look,
he
he's
looks
got the
crazy.
little. Hang on a minute. Look at that symbol on his foot. How are they going to get away with that?
Yeah.
Such a
The
one
jetpack as well has that.
There's a jetpack. I haven't got that far either. Where's the jetpack? The pogo is quite interesting. Oh, I like the alternative dwarf heads. That's a clever way of doing it. I think
That's nice.
that's a 15k stretch goal, though. I don't think they're going to
Yeah,
get.
that Bad Moon is a 1-for-1 copy, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's not that. I mean, the whole point of those symbols is that they
It's
can be
been
made by drunk children, isn't it? So because that's basically what goblins are. So yeah, I think if you make a symbol that simple, you're begging for it. But my favourite one is the fantasy football logo. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, FF coin. I think that's brilliant. I think I think we should use that symbol more. I actually think that's genius. Oh wow, that centaur, the alternate centaur legs, the zope legs are massive.
That's a good way.
I think they look really cool though.
I think just using that as a bull centaur is pretty good.
I think I personally prefer those to the
To the
bull
horse
I want to
centaur.
see what that question mark is because that looks pretty hench, and it also looks like it's got the bottom half.
Yeah.
Do you think that is? That might be
The other one.
the star player.
Stolpath.
Oh no!
Okay.
Oh no! Oh man, what was the? This is how deep into Blood Bowl 2020 I am now. Was that Huthark, the unstoppable, just the bull centaur star player? Man, I'm starting to forget the old school star players now.
Oh, a scale. Actually, there's a few pictures further down showing them scaling up, and it looks like a really good scale. It's Games Workshop stuff.
Oh yeah, they've got dwarf on dwarf action there, and actually, I think that this is going to sound bad. The dwarves in Blood Bowl, the Games Workshop ones, they're slightly smaller proportion than I'd expect. Specifically in like the heads, they just make them look a little bit slighter. Chaos dwarf size, absolutely chunky, but still not massively tall. Hobgoblins are a bit tall, but they're lanky, and that kind of fits their design.
Yeah, I always feel like hobgoblins. If you're running as a goblin team, I think they'd look tall. But as hobgoblins, they work.
I think it's important that you different. I'm interested to see how Games Workshop do the Chaos Dwarf team, especially with the hobgoblins and stuff.
If they do.
it, well, I think they'll probably do it. I think.
I'm still betting on them coming next.
Really?
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Ooh, interesting. Right, so that is the Dan Kai Miniatures Hashut Dragons, which is going to be closing in a minute. So if you're interested, jump on there and back it. They're over halfway towards their goal. I think it's going to be a bit close for that one. And next up is the Grebo Games Dwarf Team. So they've only really started popping out spoilers this week, I guess. For that. And the project is called the Thunder Cougar Falconbeards, which...
They've been borrowing Games Workshop's name generator.
Yeah. I love the Games Workshop name generator. We should actually make that in a spreadsheet. Actually, there's a guy who's done that for like goblin names and stuff, isn't there? Plastic Mike or something?
Realm of Plastic.
There you go.
There's a site which does all sorts of name generators. Really good site, actually.
But I have to have
So
a
if
word.
you ever want to... They've done Bretonians again recently.
Ooh.
So just to rub salt in the wound. If you want to get your players named. But
I think Bretonians are going to have like a bit of a resurgence. Anyway, the Thunder Cougar Falconbeards, we've got a box of them right here. And we're doing an unboxing over the weekend because we had a very, very quick look because it arrived today, not long before we recorded, and they look really, really cool. And if we go to the next page, you can kind of see that on their Facebook, they have put a kind of sketchy pencil-drawn picture of the team. And can we get to it? Here we go. There we go. And F11. No, that's just not helped at all. Magic. You can kind of see just about the layout of the players. I mean, first impressions, guys. What do you think of this?
So nice. They're so nice. We'll see in the unboxing how nice.
Yeah, I think the roller is very big. And this is quite a common death roller design now. The one with arms is...
a mech sort of thing.
Yeah, a lot of third-party dwarf teams have it. I think that's probably just the way to get away from the kind of straight one-for-one Games Workshop rip. But this dwarf team is looking really cool, and there's some talk about actually you could use them as Chaos Dwarf blockers as well because of their kind of style.
Yeah. If you scroll a couple to the left, I think 2 photos on their feed. I don't know if you have that.
Let's
there.
Go.
It's sort of like the back of one. Like a sketch of like the back of a dwarf, so you can kind of see their style in more detail.
I am trying, but Facebook is not loving life. Here we go. What, the dwarf?
Yeah, that one.
Let's have a look.
So it's like yeah, for like audio listeners, I realise it's not brilliant. It's I think what Milton was saying earlier, if you're familiar with Warcraft, they definitely have that vibe. They've got huge shoulders, which I think Ian, you said reminds you of 30k.
Yeah.
When Ben showed me a quick picture, they very much look like the kind of 30k Terminators with the oversized shoulders and that kind of loincloth armor.
Yeah, very like but like with more like sort of ornate fantasy. It looks like metal,
Yes.
rather than ceramite. Super cool. Really cool style.
I think they've kind of got a bit of a Kings of War vibe as well. Sorry, Milton, go for it.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at the designs for the roller, which is another picture they've got up there. And you're right with the arms, and I wonder if that'll be an alternate to the kit, or whether it's always standing up on legs.
Oh no, I think it's the rollers are like two parts that go together. That are attached to the hands.
But you're right; it does make it look a bit different. It's less like a lawnmower.
It is less like a
still
lawnmower.
got a roller.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, it's got
Which
little
a lot
legs.
of them don't. They've got like a mech.
They're quite lean legs, aren't they? That's Robotnik.
Exactly. This is the Robotnik episode. Robotnik and WoW, sponsoring episode 62 of the Bonehead Podcast. It's just everything from our youth. Let's have a look. Let's have a quick look.
If they get that level of detail in there, though, these are going to look so good. It's that
look at his little legs. That's brilliant. That is brilliant.
sort of Nordic design, isn't it? And the ruins.
Yeah, actually, I'll tell you what that reminds me of now you say that. Skyber or Cyber.
Oh yeah,
Cyber.
Cyborg.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
that kind of, it's almost like Nordic, Celtic kind of swirls and
All right, now
designs.
Now you got me
Very
looking at these miniatures proper, and I think Grebo need to put weapons on these guys.
Yeah.
They are super cool, but no, there's just like so much RPG potential in these dwarves. Wow, yeah, all right.
Rebo make lovely models. They really do.
They have been absolutely knocking it out of the park. Their older stuff that you've picked up, Ben, like the Alistoran. No, was it Alistoran?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Khorne team and the Nurgle team were really lovely. But the stuff they're doing now, the Black Orc team, is just way up there with one of the best teams ever, I think. Like it's stylized and WoW-ish, but it's just incredible. And I do.
Are these all
And
in their
they've switched.
Greyblood then?
Yeah, and the quality is really good, Milton. Definitely. That there's a couple of like, it's more dust than flash, isn't it? When you've got this kind of production. But yeah, they look fantastic. So keep an eye out over the weekend / into the early week for the unboxing video, because I want to get to grips with this team and have a look and really have a look at the detail. And I'm going to find my dwarves so I can get a good scale thing as well. Bless you. Well,
That was a light falling down.
Oh wow, are you okay, Ben?
I'm absolutely.
We've had some lighting issues on Ben's side this night, and now the lighting is trying to kill him. Which is
Try and turn me down, will you?
right. There was one more bit which Ian quite rightly reminded us of. So let's get that up on the screen as well so we can talk through it, which was the Nobility and Black Orc Spike magazine has been spoiled. So Spike issue 12 will be landing at some point in the future. And right, Milton, have you had a chance to look at what this Spike entails?
Well, I've had a little look over the contents, but I think, as a lot of us have said, it's fairly similar to what's in the rulebook. There's a few new things. In particular, for me, I'm interested about the ball rules.
I thought, yeah.
Really into your balls at the moment, aren't you?
I am.
He's going for a bit of a catch-all kind of approach.
They're on my laptop at the moment.
I'll keep him away from Ben's lights. So there's a couple of bits in there that I am going to absolutely love. So famous Imperial nobility teams, and was there famous Black Orc teams? I don't know. I'm potentially smarter than your average orc, is the thing. But every Spike magazine, there's like one page where there's 4 teams and there's no art. It's just a little bit of fluff about them, a little bit of like, here's the story with these guys. This is something cool they did. And that I find really inspirational from a building, painting point of view, because you kind of get that story. And we don't have that for nobility at all. Like, can anyone actually say what the nobility team's called? I mean,
Bogenhalf and Barons.
It's on the screen, but yeah.
So I'm not looking. I'm painting.
Yeah, there's nothing to them just yet. And I mean, we like to geek out and look at builds and how to like grow your players up and stuff. You know, get them their university time. And this is something I'm actually really looking forward to. The downside is, apart from the ball rules, can't see anything in there that's new at all. They've got the bash 'em and smash 'em, so it looks like they've got a little bit of setup and tactic stuff.
Yeah.
It's really go for it.
Kind of hoping for some star players after the Necro spike, showing that that the star players aren't limited to just the core rulebook. You'd have kind of hoped that we'd get a bit of an expansion here, and obviously now every time they release a new set of star players, it crosses across anyone who's got that same keyword.
Yeah, massively. The thing is, I think for the good stars, like the alignment level good, I don't think there's a huge amount of them missing, is there? I think they kind of went heavy in on them.
They did, yeah.
So
I think for me, I was
quite a
hoping
few of
for
the
Ripper
halflings
with
are
the
missing,
orcs.
to be fair.
Sorry, Ben.
Yeah.
I missed what you said, man. You said something about all I heard was orcs, which is not an uncommon thing.
Oh,
when
sorry.
talking to you.
Yeah, so when I saw it was like orcs in this spike, I was hoping to see Ripper again.
Oh, it would have been such a perfect point to add Ripper back in.
Yeah, and
you say halfling stars
the
as well.
chainsaw dude called. Yeah, there's loads of halfling stars missing.
Yeah, true.
All right, but
Perhaps though we'll get the 2 teams as separate boxes, maybe.
I think this would be a great timing for that. So you can get your nobility team after all, Milton.
Yeah. Don't tempt me.
Oh, we all know it's going to happen. And it should, because they are really lovely. Yeah, it would have been a really great time to drop just a couple more missing star players. Ripper would have been a great shout, actually. And like Ian said, some of the halfling star players. Because old Mindy Pie Whistle's missing, isn't she?
Puggy.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I forgot about Puggy as well.
And he's like, he occasionally came on, popped up on human teams too, didn't he? So
yeah.
back in the day.
Back in the day. But also, I was kind of...
Orcs, I guess the orc chainsaw guy. What's he called?
Ripper? No, there's Ripper and there's, Olgurt. Oh, God, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
Maybe
I'll tell you what would be better
But
than...
now Helmet Wolf displays for everyone. It's kind of...
What would be better than separate boxes would be team dice.
I don't think Games Workshop are going to give up an opportunity to make more dice. But that's it. We've seen the spike. We've not seen whether or not there's going to be a team release set, like a box set, and we haven't seen whether or not there's going to be dice. I assume there's not going to be a pitch because there's a really generic one
in the box.
Yeah, but actually a nobility / orc pitch would be kind of cool if they were to drop it, but I think they potentially would have spoiled it.
The snow pitch was sort of a orc human snow version of the original box set pitch, so maybe we'll get an alternate box set pitch for nobility and Black Orcs.
That would be really cool. I mean, we don't need it, not by a long shot.
No.
But at the same time, it's just fun. It's just fun to get cool stuff because they don't have pitch rules. So even though there's an astrogranic pitch in the rules, like in the box set, there are no rules for pitches. And so far in Blood Bowl 2020, we have the one set of rules, which is for the necromantic team pitch. Everything else kind of got a reset with the rules. I mean, you could still use it, you could because they basically all transfer over. But as is canon right now, it's only the necromantic one. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see if that lands. Anyway, I'll get it. It'll be a good read. I do like the spikes. I don't think this is going to top 11, which I maintain is the best one ever. It's just got a bit of everything. I would have liked to see some inducements as well, just to add a little bit more fluff.
Yeah.
We'll have a further deep dive when it comes out.
Oh,
I'd like to read this one too, I think.
Absolutely. It's always good to do. I love these books. Right, I think that wraps up everything from Blood Bowl news. Ben, was there anything we've missed, or is there anything we've missed? Or have we
No, I don't think so.
I
think
so
Ian's the one to ask. He remembers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say he didn't even remember the spikes. So yeah, don't ask him.
Fantastic. Before we move on, I just want to say a big thank you to you guys for listening, for following the show, for subscribing on YouTube if you had, and a special thank you to our Patreons who get access to content and monthly giveaways and things like that. It's just appreciate you guys helping us out. So I'm going to do the quick readout of everybody very, very quickly. So Mark, Dylan, Dean Thomas, Graham Klober, Joshua Bergman, Oliver Matthews, John F. Croddick Jr., Timothy Dunbar, Ross Bunn, George Christodulo, Sam Garner, Phil Stone, Stephen Jarrett, Carlos Gill, Sunded Psyche, big Necro player, that guy, Cooper Stokes, Owen Crossweller, Anthony Sweetman, Dean Goldsmith, Clive the Kiwi, who's just, I think, painting up his halfling team. Jeffrey Polly, Paul Harrison, McSnugger, TD Customs, Anton Nistrom, Dan Roundtree, Robo Whale, Adam Pike, Henning Haugorn, David Coman Heidi, Sindre Mogster Bratton, sorry, my bad, Nick Roberts, John Redman, Oscar Hager, Stephen Knowles, Steve Wolfhard, Matt Jones, Charlie Vanderbaum, Jared, Xavier Dunwich, and Dave Dragon. Big thank you to all of you for supporting the show. It's great to be involved. Appreciate it massively. Okie dokie. Ben's camera's just switched off, so I think that must be it's time to move on to hobby. And we're back, and it's over to hobby. So every time we go on the podcast, we talk about games we've been playing, things we've been buying, and if you're Ian, ridiculous amount of things that you have been painting. So should we start with Ian? Ian, hobby? Have you done any? I feel like you might have done.
Yeah. So I mentioned last week I was kind of diving into the Warcry quite a bit, and I'm kind of going further down that rabbit hole. So I painted a Mind Stealer Sphyranx. It's like a sphinxy kind of big cat, which was really fun. It's really good. I enjoyed doing that.
The cat is lovely. The way you painted it's brilliant. My only issue with that model is that its tusks, its horns, kind of come in front of its mouth, and I'm not sure if it would ever be able to eat. Maybe it looks different in person.
It feasts on souls.
Oh well, that's very Age of Sigmar.
It's chaos. Yeah. No, I don't know. It's. I think it reads your mind and eats your secrets or something. I don't know. Who cares? It looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, and then obviously, our Blood Bowl League has been continuing, and we actually had a really good game on Tuesday.
Oh
so
man,
a few days ago.
That was
genuinely really good game.
Restfully close.
Yeah. So I unfortunately lost 2-1 with my halflings to the mighty frogs. But I don't think I was completely shameful. I think I did fairly well.
That was
came close.
So close, man. 2 trees, Carla, and Rumbelow. Actually deal out a ton of hurt.
Yeah, it's quite bashy. Did quite a few injuries.
And that cheeky edge for halfling as well, because this is on Fumble, so this is with the old school rules. He did some great work. I was very happy when we finally got him off the pitch.
Yeah, I think he was so close to scoring. I kind of was trying to be a bit cautious about my go for it because I'd kind of used my reroll and ended up I should have used one because I was just in blitzing distance, but I think I'd miscounted it. But
yeah, one square away.
The speed that those slang can turn that ball over and kind of, I was like, no, I thought the ball was here, but no, now it's in my end zone.
Yeah, I like to play a little bit fast and loose with the rerolls. So your chef, I was proper scared, and
I failed all 6 Master Chef rolls.
I genuinely think that was the game difference because I managed to pull off some coast to coast plays. But
yeah,
to be fair,
you might not have been that ballsy if you didn't have a reroll in your pocket, sort of thing.
And let's just you did manage to throw a halfling into the backfield and then sack my ball carrier So
Yeah, that was
there
amazing.
was some pretty decent plays from both sides. Great game. I managed to. I thought I'd updated my Fumble logo, but I hadn't. It's the wrong size. Very sad. But yeah,
Something to do this week.
ended up at 2-1 in the end, and it really could have gone either way, which was terrifying.
Yeah.
Terrifying. But we are not the only ones who's been fumbling. Milton, how was your week?
Yeah, it's been really good. The sort of last 5 weeks, we've had a lot of good games, really, really solid games. I've taken up Bretonian in our league, and it's been interesting. I kind of had sort of said good riddance to Bretonians, sort of saying, what was their purpose in the first place? And obviously, nobility's here now. Having never tried them, I don't think I've ever played against them.
No, I haven't
but pick them up since we're playing through Fumble, and you know what? They've really grown on me. I've got a bit of a soft spot for them, and yeah, they're making me think about picking up the nobility team for tabletop. My last game against Ian Triplo was insane. He was playing OWA, another team that I've never played against, and to be fair to him, he put up an amazing game. I just got super lucky. The ball just was going back and forth. It was in my half for a lot of that game, and I just managed to run away. But my luck ran out on turn 16, where I failed to go for it into the end zone with the ball. So
it's the worst roll. It's the worst roll in Blood Bowl. Now the cool thing about Fumble is you get like a breakdown of all the dice and everything, and you can kind of track everything that's going on, because we're talking about Go For It's, and we're talking about like Ian's last turn and how there was a couple of different angles he could have taken to get Carla free to score the equalizer. All of them would have been awful odds, and I think Ben, was it you who said just a cheeky 4 Go For It's? And I looked at the stats for our game, and I pulled off nearly 30 Go For It's across the whole game.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely turboing. But no, I mean, the cool thing about the Fumble League that Ian put together, actually, to replace our Wobble Tuesday night sessions because of the lockdown and everything, we kind of got a chance to take some teams that we don't have miniatures for. So, Milton got to run Bretonian, I've got to run Slan, or I've got a Slan team, but, OWA, Trips is running OWA, so Bretonian are gone, but we get to run them. Slan's passing game is gone, I get to run them, OWA got better in Blood Bowl 2020, so I'm not really sure why Trip hates himself quite so much, but bless him. We've got a Khemri team in there, we've got a High Elf team in there. It's really, I've got a Chaos Dwarf team. Like, it's cool to see the teams that are either going away or changing, or they don't have miniatures for. I think that's one of the great things about Fumble. Before you even look at the special teams, the secret teams, it's pretty sweet. You know what, Milton, you got outbashed by Triplo.
Yeah, no, he had, like, most of my team was off the pitch for that game, which is why I was struggling so much.
52.
He just kept dropping the ball.
52 2-die blocks he made against you.
Yep.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, looking back on it, it was absolutely insane that I managed to pull it off. It should have been a draw by any means. He just got super unfortunate with his pickups, and I managed some absolutely cheeky plays of dodging, going for it, picking up the ball on a nonsense roll, and managed to get it.
22 dodges for you, Milton, in that game.
Yeah.
This is cool. You can see the stats, and you can tell that you had to play hard. And you pulled it off.
Yeah, it was.
So yeah, that's
one I
one
won't
thing I
forget
don't like
anytime
about Fumble. I want to be salty of Marion and not be called out for it, and given facts to show that I'm not correct.
Let's have a quick look at our game then, Ian, because we got some decent stats on there. Anyway, Milton, while I'm geeking out with figures in the background, how about some hobby?
Yeah, so after we started the Lockdown League, it kind of got me back in the Blood Bowl mood, and I decided to pick up the Chaos team. So I've built them. and I've gone for a Slangor for my Minotaur. I'm going to theme them up as Slaneshi Chaos, and I'm just really looking forward to giving them a go. I think that my playstyle is really going to suit the Chaos team.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Your patented just put block on everybody first. It works really well for Chaos.
Yeah, I can see that working out for me. But the other thing I've recently started up is a little collection of balls. I've started mounting up the balls that I've got from the different kits because, as we discussed earlier, there are rules coming in the new Spike editions, and I think it'd be cool to have them. And actually, I think they're a really undervalued piece of the GW kits. I think they get overlooked, and they've got a lot of character, some of them.
You are exactly right, and you're using 20mm round bases to mount them on, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I started doing that a while ago. It's cool. You kind of can blend them in with your team. I think it's because we did the tokens I stopped bothering. Like we made the little tokens with the scatter on that go underneath. I stopped bothering at that point. But they are. I think you're right, man. I think they are underrated. The nobility one is pretty vanilla, but as far as
I think they're just like standard human ones, aren't they? On ability.
Kind of, yeah. Just a little bit fancier, but yeah, that's pretty cool. Ian, you made 17 dodges and you failed 8 of them.
Whoop.
Yeah,
That's brutal.
Love a good old 3+.
seven 3+ dodges were failed and 7 3+ dodges were made. I'm not sure your dice know how 3+ works.
No, it's my least favourite number to try and roll 3.
So is that counting after dodge or before?
Ooh. I would assume like after dodge.
Yeah, so does it count the second roll as a separate dodge?
I don't know. It might do, actually. Might do. In which case, it's not that bad at all.
I'm going to take whatever way to interpret it I want.
But the cool thing, Milton, about your Chaos team is now Chaos have got the 3 big guys. You've got the Slangor as your Minotaur. Have you got the Troll and the Ogre sorted as well?
I've gone Ogre. I'm not going to bother with the Troll, I don't think. I'm not that fussed. I've got sort of mutated Troll for my Underworld team.
Somebody hold Ben back.
I don't think I'm going to do another one. So I've got the Ogre, which is just a standard. I guess it's Age of Sigmar now, isn't it? Ogre. Don't know what the Ogre.
Yeah, Ogre.
Ogre. Yeah, he's. I've done him up a little
Bulgor.
bit, given him some Stormcast shoulder pads and a really long tongue.
It's quite creepy. I love it.
It is. It
very
is creepy. He needs a little guitar. It's that kind of effect.
Fit with that heavy metal team, isn't it?
Worryingly so.
Yeah, no, great. Kind of pulled that team together quite quickly. I'm really happy with how they're looking. I just need some time to get around to painting them.
Our painting time is good. And how about you, BT? Any hobby? Any games?
Unfortunately, no games. I need you guys to hurry up and finish this league because I'm really keen to join in. The Fumble games are really good, like fun to sort of fly on the wall, but they're more fun to play. So, yeah, I'll be keen to get stuck in. But yeah, so no games. I did have a birthday a couple of weeks ago, and I had some really kind messages from the community. So thank everyone, and a little shout out to Mick Thompson who made up a little blood tithe ball token, which is really nice and really kind.
Oh yeah,
I just wanted to shout that out because I appreciate that a lot.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
It's not too late to send your cards, guys.
Hobby-wise, though, so I think I spoke last time. I've been working on an ogre army with less tongues than Milton's one. But I finished up the scrap launcher, which is good. And I've been working on a giant. We like giants on the podcast, so
That giant looks fantastic.
That's very cool.
And it came
Yeah,
together
he's-
so quickly as well. It was like all of a sudden you're like, hey guys, here's this half-finished, beautifully painted giant I've been working on.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's good. It's really, really, really fun model. I didn't expect to enjoy painting it as much as I did because it's quite an old kit, but it really holds up.
Are you airbrushing? The skin done with airbrush?
Yeah,
on that
pretty
one?
much the whole thing. Yeah. It's big enough.
Suits it though. It's got that big areas, hasn't it?
Yeah, it looks cracking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
the kind of smooth highlighting on the skin does look incredible. I don't think... I mean, Ian, you've painted at least one of the Aeolgustas, haven't you?
Yeah. I think I've
With the
done a couple,
with the big flat areas like that, I mean, how tricky is that to do with old school size 1 brushes?
Yeah, I only use size 1. No. Yeah, it's a lot. It's extra effort, to be honest. Yeah, I think obviously I did the Mega Gargant with brushes,
Oh yeah,
and yeah, I think you've just got to pick your areas where you want all your transitions and stuff, and focus on those. Whereas I think Ben's airbrush approach, you can kind of just get that more of a global version of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think as is a case with sort of airbrushing in general, is you can always do the same effect with a brush. It's just far quicker and easier with an airbrush. Is pretty much it. It's
If
just
you know what
kind
you're
of more
doing.
of a time saver.
if you know what you're doing, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, there is a bit of a curve, but yeah. Generally, you can get sort of similar blends with enough like layers and stuff. It's just quicker.
That sounds
Yeah.
I enjoyed painting my Windsor Chog giant, and that was quite fun to do. But the big flesh areas is a challenge, I think. So you've executed brilliantly. I mean, I'm not surprised at this point. With the amount of flesh that the ogre team's got on it. Sorry, the ogre army has got on it.
Yeah, I mean, this is my last bit of flesh for this army. After that, I've got just
The next fleshy army now, won't you?
Yeah. Slime flesh.
Sure, do you know? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Ben's bet this year was that there would be a Slanesh release for Blood Bowl. It could be a star player, could be a team. Mine is that there's going to be a Squig release. I guess Madcap Migs doesn't really count because we kind of, that's to be expected. I don't know. Lewd Grip, is he in Slanesh or?
He's Slanesh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, okay. So we're kind of even odds to that. Milton, how about you? What's your crazy prediction for Blood Bowl this year, release-wise?
Crazy.
Not necessarily
That's
crazy,
an
but what do you
interesting
think we're going to see?
Well, as I said earlier, I'm convinced the Chaos Dwarves are coming next.
Is
Just got
there?
a feeling about it.
You've got a feeling about it. Nice. And what do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think will be in the box for that one? Because obviously,
Well, I hope like quite a full team, really. Maybe like one full center per sprue and sort of enough dwarves to get by.
I mean,
Don't know, what's the max on the dwarves on the Chaos team?
No, I don't
Currently.
think they'll have bull. If they do that, I don't think they'll have. Well,
You
they
think
might
the
have
bull
bull
centers are going to be separately?
It's a tricky one because they have recently been including some of the bigger guys, haven't they?
Well, yeah, the Snotling pump wagons even come on their own separate little.
Okay, yeah. I'd say bull centaurs, but definitely no Minotaur.
oh no, definitely no Minotaur. They'll absolutely farm that one out. But my bet would be because we haven't seen it from them in a while. Maybe a bull centaur, 2 blockers, 3 goblins on each sprue. So you do need to pick up a second box.
Or they might just make the roster or Chaos Dwarfs.
Ooh, that would
That would
hurt.
be brutal. That would not go down well.
Yeah.
That would. Hey, do you know what they might do? They might just add a thrower. They seem to enjoy doing that. They'll add an ogre and add a thrower, and that just seems to be kind of the template for 2020. Yeah. Yeah.
I've decided on what my crazy prediction is going to be.
All right.
Cetra is going to be a star player just to rub salt in the wound.
And it's going to be modelled as kneeling or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. Like he's on the line.
With a Bretonian head in his hand, just to absolutely, and it comes with vinegar as well.
Going to be in the spike, I'm telling you.
Ian, how about you? What's your Blood Bowl prediction for this year?
Okay, my crazy prediction is that by the end of the year, and I'm thinking at the end of the year, we will see a Blood Bowl variant, e.g. a Dungeon Bowl, or maybe a more mainstream kind of Blitz Bowl, or some sort of multiplayer. Yeah, it's something like that. I think we'll see a Blood Bowl variant rules set or box set.
Why do you think that?
I don't know. It's just in my gut, because I think having been following Warcry quite a bit recently and seeing that like what they've done with the Catacombs kind of set,
dude, that
They're
is
not afraid
absolutely
to
made.
kind of release a box with a little add-on. Like they could release Dungeon Bowl with a few bits of scenery, pitch, and like an add-on book that you can buy separately if you want to, and just do it.
It's
definitely do
not
that.
a bad shout, Ian, because if you think about it, there aren't that many teams of Legend, and even if they do add a couple of new teams, at some point they're going to run out of new Blood Bowl stuff that we can anticipate. So yeah,
I
But
would
the thing is,
love that.
now that the Team Legends PDF is out, they don't actually have to rush through it, to be honest. And I don't think,
Pressure's off.
unless you're vampires, no one is desperately wanting their rules because, no one knows what's going to happen.
What do we got left? We got Amazons, Norse, High Elves, Tomb King, Vampire, Chaos Dwarves. So it's only 6 teams left to go. You're quite right. They could get that done by 2 years, add in a couple of extra teams as well, and by the end of 2022 they're up to date with Blood Bowl. That's with space for an extra 2 teams. So yeah, some kind of Dungeon Bowl game would be absolutely amazing. I mean, do you think they'd do it a year after the core Blood Bowl set, just like to drive the point home?
Yeah, I think they would. They pretty much did that with Catacombs, didn't they?
Yeah.
Like a year or 2 after.
And they could, I mean, this is the cool thing about, I think, some of what we're seeing. There's a lot of potential for cross-pollination with the Games Workshop miniatures. So if they do a Dungeon Bowl board, if they just did it kind of like on a standard Blood Bowl pitch, but had it double-sided...
That's what I think that would do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could easily farm that out to Warcry and stuff like that.
Bits.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that would be so good. That would be insane.
That would be amazing.
That's my crazy prediction.
I've got something crazy if we want to, just on my mind, because you mentioned that. You mentioned where do you go from there? Do you reckon Blood Bowl will ever go down the road of inventing new things that haven't already been pre-established? So kind of, what Age of Sigmar is coming up with brand new armies. Do you reckon they'll do that with Blood Bowl? Make something just new?
Yes, totally.
Invent a race?
Totally do.
I don't think they'll invent a race that's not in the Warhammer world. If that makes sense.
you just want a Nippon team, don't you, Ben?
Yeah, but that's what I mean. That's
that
going
would be
to
cool.
be in the Warhammer world.
Well, no,
anyway.
because they've
It's still
talked
in the
about...
Warhammer world, yeah.
They've got forest spirits in the Wood Elf Spike. There is a forest spirit team. There's a Snake Man team in one of the spikes.
Yeah.
Like, okay, it's
Yeah,
a
but I
real
think a lot of that has
vague
been
thing.
mentioned.
So will they create brand new fluff for stuff? I don't know.
Well, what they could expand on is the leagues, like the Lustrian League or the sections that now we're kind of, and assuming we get more teams that fit into those categories, like if you say, we get another 2 teams that come out, maybe we'll get some sort of more minor ones that fit in and around to sort of flesh those out.
That would be
That'd be
pretty cool as
like
well.
campaign books, but kind of league books.
Yeah.
That'd be
That'd be
amazing.
cool.
That would be dangerously good. I mean, there's obviously the chance that they will come up with different, like, alternate rosters for the established teams as well. So within that, like a Lustrian League could have, a different Norse team or an all
Skig
team.
Southlands, yeah.
Yeah.
Things.
Like variants.
Yeah, that would be another great way to do it, where they wouldn't necessarily have to create more miniatures for it either. They could just, for example, create a Spike magazine and fill it full of stuff that we already have.
Well, actually, if you think about it, we've now got 2 orc teams and 2 human teams. So yeah, they're kind of just variants already, aren't they?
I'd love to see a green skin cup with snotlings and black orcs and orc teams and goblin teams, and chuck in a troll team there as well. It would just be absolute carnage, and that'd be great fun.
And then
to do
you could get in the Squig team.
Oh,
yeah, that'd be cool.
I'm really banking on a Squig team from Games Workshop at some point.
I don't think it's unlikely, to be honest.
That would be really fun to do. Yeah, Greenskin Cups, Chaos Cups.
Yeah, exactly. And like Milton said, like some kind of Lustrian Cup. I mean, Amazons fits into that, and you know what else would fit into that really nicely? Slan. So,
yeah, well, you could get your Dark Elves and your High Elves in around that area as well.
Oh, and Skaven, of course.
Yeah.
Clan Pestilence. There you go. Yeah, I love the Skaven.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah,
So
hold that thought.
we've got a load of
Remember
cool potential there in Blood Bowl, which is really good. It's a great question. But before we move on, finally, Milton, we did ask you the other night when we were on Discord, Bretonnian versus Nobility, and Ben, you can absolutely weigh in here because I know you've got the Bretonnian experience as well. We were talking around whether 2 Blitzers is worth an Ogre. So, Milton, where do you stand on that?
Well, I mean, I'm not. I've warmed to the big guy situation, but I've never been.
He's even using 40 mil bases now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, ever since the baby came, it's,
things have changed.
It's lightened you up a bit, hasn't
it? But yeah, I don't know. The blitzers are such key elements of the Bretonnian team, and they're so flexible. And I mean, the 3 I've got that have skilled up are like basically like having 3-star players, as far as I'm concerned, and they just carry the team around.
Yeah.
I think like losing. I will always choose more flexibility in a reliable blitzer than an ogre for sure. But that's not to be said that you can't have fun, and the other choices that you get, the what's the new one for the nobility?
The thrower.
The bodyguard, yeah.
Yeah, you've got the thrower and you've got the bodyguard, and they look fun. But I think for me, the biggest skill on the Bretonnian team is fend, and of course the nobility team have that. So
yeah, that hasn't changed. It's really interesting what they've done, where they've taken the Bretonnian team and they've just kind of tweaked it a little bit. I really hope we see some of this in some of the teams of Legend. But I mean, Ben, you also went a play testing with Bretonnians while you can. I mean, what's your take on the ogre versus extra blitzers?
The 4 blitzers is so good. It's like you see it on humans. It's like always like a must pick, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And yeah, and the blitzers on nobility and Bretonnian are so even more value. I mean, you pay quite a bit more in nobility than like a human blitzer for catch. I think it's like 30k more just for catch, and also easier access to dodge, which is always nice.
But less access to strength.
Yes, yeah. I guess because you have your bodyguards you've still got 4 of them if you want to go more bruising, but it's an expensive team, nobility, and it's really hard to fit everything in. So like, even if you could take 4 blitzers rather than an ogre, struggle to get more than 1 in, because there's not a lot in it between blitzers and ogres.
you lose Dauntless as well.
You do, yeah.
And that has come in very helpful. I mean, in the OWA game, like I was able to just chuck a blitzer at the ogre, knowing that I had a fairly good chance of at least giving him a run for his money.
Because when you've got a Dauntless guy and you're supporting him with a guard piece and stuff, you're kind of well in there, aren't you?
Yep.
Yeah, you got a great chance at 2-die blocking, and you've got block anyway, so even a 1-die or 2-die up with block isn't all that bad. But who did you play Bretonnians against?
I played him versus Chaos, and it really had me thinking, because especially now where Strength 4 is way less, having 4 blitzers with Dauntless up against Strength 4 is really, really handy, because it's like it kind of just puts you on the same ground.
That's just 2+ roll, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 2+ when you have your assist, it's 2-die, yeah.
Ooh, yeah, that would be absolutely
What do the
dominating.
bodyguards get that the yeomen don't?
Stand firm.
Stand firm.
Okay.
So you got fend on the lineman and stand firm. Yeah, well, yeah, that too. Yeah. Some potential there for Nurgle conversions, I think, with the bodyguards.
I don't know. That's pretty cool, actually. Because, like I was saying about the fend, like I think like the biggest thing about the Bretonnian team is that ability to position yourself really well. Use that fend, work it into that, and the stand firm kind of plays into that idea. I'm behind that. I think,
Ben, that's what you were saying about this team, wasn't it? That they are just board positioning, and it's going to be really interesting.
Super control.
Yeah.
I think you can really line stuff up to annoy your opponent. Like you can really
get those guys blocked.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Jamming right in there.
Who? What? The bodyguards.
Yeah.
Well, here's that's the question, isn't it? If you've got wrestle already, do you still take block, or do you go guard instead for the first skill?
I'd rush for guard, but block isn't a bad shout because it gives you options.
Yeah.
Oh,
Includes
yeah,
your
I'm just
defeat.
thinking it goes really well with stand firm.
It
With
really
4
does.
blitzers, the guard is great on the yeoman, but with only 2 blitzers, you're down quite a lot of block. So I don't know. Blocks.
It's going to be really interesting to see the nobility teams develop, and this is, I think if you look at all tier 2 teams, they need a couple of bits to make them sing, and I think that's why tier 2 is probably the most exciting place to be in Blood Bowl at the moment. You know, Black Orcs, there's a load of potential. Nobility, there's a load of potential. Ben, you and I somehow managed to have a chat every single week about how best to develop an Imperial thrower to be almost as good as another thrower. You know, and and it's that, you know, with Stunty, you've got very rarely any chance ever, and you're playing for that. This might work. This, you know, let's make people sweat. This is my goal here. When it comes to tier 2, you do have that kind of underdog feeling as well, don't you? Of like, you know what, I want to win with these guys. There's a bit of challenge to it. I'm the underdog. Let's make this special. And I think the biggest difference there is that all teams with 4 blitzers end up being tier 1. Amazon, Dark Elf, Human, you know, Orcs. Having that massive spread of combat is huge. So I think that is the massive... I think if the nobility team had 4 blitzers instead of 2 and an ogre, they would probably be tier 1.
Maybe. They're still expensive, though. It would be really hard to get a roster with 4 blitzers in, I think.
Yeah.
The team's really pricey.
I think the Muggles on the Bretonian team are 40k, whereas they're 45 now because they've got, which I think is overcosted.
I think it is.
Which
I think
is,
it should be 40.
yeah.
Edge 2 or 3 plus.
Yeah,
4 plus.
Edge 4 plus, armor 3, whatever it is. They're probably a little bit. But I think GW are kind of erring on the side of caution with the new releases to make sure that they're not massively OP, and that's not just in Blood Bowl. I mean, you guys just said this about the Slanesh guys in Age of Sigmar, where they don't necessarily want their new splash releases to land and be immediately auto win powerful. And I think because these are some of the first teams they've introduced to Blood Bowl, this edition, if they'd landed them and they were immediately tier 1 bosses, I think there would have been like Washington style disruption. Like there'd be people invading Warhammer World.
They made the humans super tier 1 instead.
yeah, they did. They just snuck that in there. It was like, let's give them halflings and make them a better thrower. I love it. It's great fun. I
find it quite interesting that on that kind of point though, because more than any game I think Games Workshop do, with maybe the exception of Middle-earth, Blood Bowl is always felt like a lot more of a static, closed system. So it's going to be hard for them to kind of move teams from tiers in the future, I think.
Yeah. You wouldn't have an update with a huge balance shift. I can't...
Exactly,
Well,
yeah.
That's interesting. Do you think we'll get a Season 3 in 2024?
I don't know if they'll go down that route because it's not very Blood Bowl, is it?
Do we think we'll get another rules change after this revision, or is it going to be like this for a while?
I think the rules will probably stay like this now, especially with Blood Bowl 3 landing. And I think because of Blood Bowl 3, I mean, I love the way that the General's Handbook does things with AOS, just by landing in and tweaking the costs and stuff. And they could really easily do that for Blood Bowl. But if BB3 is lining up exactly with BB20, then they're not going to do it. If it was
they could update BB3 too, but then that's relying on another separate company.
There's another company. Plus, that it's always, unless you're playing Hearthstone, having an online game where your balance shifts, it generally causes more riots as well, doesn't it? Like, can you imagine? Sorry.
The whole thing with Blood Bowl is the fact they've got their tier list in the first place. Kind of demonstrates they're okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It could be interesting. I'd love to see that kind of balance. Like, actually, these teams are performing, so we're going to increase the cost of their rerolls. Or actually, this player is actually undercosted, so needs to be boosted up a bit. Or actually, these yeomen, these linemen could probably do with being 40k, which is what they did with Nurgle. before they then went and slashed all the rotters agility. You know, they did decrease the cost, so at least you could start at TV 1000 with a bit more stuff. It's just that more stuff now does less stuff. So
more worse stuff.
yeah. Yeah, they should have given the rotters swarming. That would have been sweet. Strength 2 and swarming. That would have been great fun.
Yeah.
Well. Right. Shall we move on to our first topic, gentlemen?
Sounds good.
Let's do it.
Let's talk mixed teams. And we're
16?
back. 16?
I don't know, 17. just been helpful.
Okay. I love the little outtakes I always put in when you do the podcasting. And we're back. So one of the first topics we ever talked about on the podcast was mixed teams. And over the last 6 months, I guess, when the spoilers landed for Blood Bowl 2020 and we kind of just started engaging with the new format, we kind of moved away a little bit from the silly rules that we really absolutely love doing here. And mixed teams was one of the first things we looked at, and we've run multiple tournaments with mixed team rules in Blood Bowl 2016 rules, and they have just been awesome. So now I think everybody's kind of understanding where the format is now with 2020. We probably all don't have as many games as we would like, but that's okay. So I think it's okay now for us to look at some mixed teams shenanigans in Blood Bowl 2020. And we got Ian and we've got Milton here as well to talk it through. So first things first, Ben, mixed teams. When was the first time you came across rules for mixed teams in Blood Bowl?
Oh, that would be the first Bonehead Bowl. That was the Trolltacular special. Like that, that was just so much fun because I was still pretty new to it. It was my first tournament, new to Blood Bowl, and to just jump into that was just like, I think, really cemented a love for the game. It's just like it's such a good sandbox, and that's the glorious thing with tabletop gaming is you can do whatever you want. Like if you have like a video game, like even because Blood Bowl 2 has a mixed team element with some restrictions and stuff is not really quite there, but the tabletop, you're just like, let's run a tournament. This is what you can do, and you can do it, and you can model it as you like. And it's just, there was so much creative freedom, not in just creating the roster, but making that work thematically as well is just so much fun.
We
Huge scope of what you can do with mixed teams.
We definitely saw that in Bonehead Bowl. What was that 2019 Bonehead Bowl? I mean, Milton, you did pretty well in that tournament. You came across some pretty wacky mixed teams there as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I didn't myself actually run a mixed team. I just played my orcs. But
orcs.
I did have a lot of good fun. There were some crazy teams. I think people went really heavy on the big guys because I think the sort of hobby opportunity was probably the biggest appeal there. I think yourself, Ben, found that. And some of the ones I came across were really creative, really inventive, and really good fun to sort of play against. I mean, they really made you think, because coming across that like wall of big guys can be quite challenging. I no longer had the upper hand in strength, which I normally do with the orcs. So they kind of became an agility orc team, which
orcs went from bash
peculiar.
to dash.
Yeah, they did 100%, which was. It took me a good few games to get my head around that as well, like having to sort of swap the mentality of the play. But yeah, great fun. I kind of wish I'd gone in on a mixed team now, really, like on reflection. But at the time, it was just sort of down to the time I had, and I wanted to play, and I had the orcs, and that's where we went with it.
Did you manage to come third anyway? Or was it second?
I came second.
Second, yeah.
Yeah, I came second.
Well, I'm not sure you would have
There'll be
topped
plenty
that.
of chance in the future.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So, Ian, I'm not sure. Have you ever had a chance to run mixed team in Blood Bowl?
Only with our kind of New Year, Christmas 2-box special. That was a great fun little
Blood Type Ben's
tournament we
brainchild.
Yeah,
the
so
bowl.
we each got given a bowl, 2 half boxes of a random team, and bashed them into a team and had a little tournament. It was great fun. So, what was that, sevens we did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
yeah,
did you?
seventh.
What did
So
you
yeah,
end up running?
only really played it in that. Oh, yeah, I picked Nurgle and Humans, the two teams I'd like painted. So, I was a bit sour about that, but hey.
But to be fair, off the back of it, you made an absolutely amazing looking human team.
Very true.
Yeah, well, still work in progress. I've kind of stalled on those, but yeah, it did make me want to just start a human team, which was good. Another
This
one.
is the way.
This is the way.
Yeah, just roll with it. Hey?
So that was your brainchild, Ben, Hangover Bowl, which was basically a random sprue of each, and chuck it in and throw it into the mix. I mean, what was the driving force behind that? Like, what was your vision for that?
I think it started off, we were discussing Secret Santa ideas. We were like, let's do a Secret Santa at the club. And I think it would kind of just like evolved from that, thinking this could be a really fun game / hobby thing over Christmas. And then we started talking about the number of teams available, and it just worked really well for like the amount of players interested. Pitching a bit, the discount on the models we put towards prizes. And I thought it just worked. It just worked really neatly, I think. At least I hope it did from everyone else's perspective.
Oh no,
Yeah,
we
it was
all had really good
fantastic.
fun.
One of the best little mini tournament things we've done. It was great.
That's that's sevens and mixed teams. I was very happy. I was very happy, and I won, so I was even happier. That was just like Ben's day. It's in the calendar.
Didn't you get? What did you get? A Dark Elf and Skaven.
I did.
Brutal. Yeah.
I did.
Yeah,
It
I
was,
was like, yeah.
it
As soon
was-
as I saw that, I was like, oh bloody, that's like Ben's perfect team.
I was pretty happy with
Great.
that. It worked brilliantly, and I think that's a combo that probably got even better in Blood Bowl 2020. So, thanks for just talking that through. The whole point of talking that through is just kind of like to look at what we've done before and how well it's worked. And I mean, in the last, I'm throwing up a little warning on my PC here and OBS, but I'm sure it's going to be fine. The element that you guys said earlier about the fact that actually Blood Bowl has tiers, so things are just not balanced. I personally feel like because of that, the mixed teams, it's kind of like you're aware of what's going on when you're walking into it. You know that a double tier 1 team is going to be potent and a double tier 3 team is going to be ridiculous. And I mean, how do you guys feel about that with that element of actually you're changing the balance of the game?
Yeah, I sort of think
Yeah,
when I was
Fair
thinking
enough.
about it, there's sort of a couple of approaches to doing it, really, isn't there? Sort of, are you just looking to like plug the weaknesses in one team? So like go primarily with one team and then just plug the holes. So like, let's say you take dwarves, but then you take a couple of wood elves or something, because they're lacking in speed and agility. So do you just sprinkle a few players in? In which case, yeah, I think that does massively improve the kind of efficiency of the base team. I think if you go for a 50-50 mix, I don't know how much you gain from that. I'm not sure.
You're right. You've
I know
got
what you
that
mean.
element of balancing things out, and then you kind of got that combo time where you're like, I can take the best parts of this team and the best parts of this team and put it together and just expand it. So, sorry, Ben, what were you going to add?
I was just gonna say, like, it definitely enables you to make a really powerful build, like you were saying with the combo. Like, yeah, you are right. I think there's probably a definite best combo, I could say. Like, it's hard to think off the top of my head, but I imagine if you worked it out, you could think like this combination is just way too strong. Like, it's so tier 1.
Now we're gonna come
I think
to
in
that in a
terms of, like-
second, because
Yeah.
that's good. That's good foreshadowing there, Ben. I like that because we are definitely gonna tackle that in a moment. And so we'll continue through the show notes. So we've done this in Blood Bowl 2016. Blood Bowl 2020 has landed, and with the exception of humans, everything kind of got a little bit closer knit. The tier 1 stuff got nerfed in some ways. Their passing is not as good. Their pricing went up. Leap got nerfed. Some of the top performing teams got a little bit worse. Even dwarves, actually, the cost of some of their players went up. which means that you can't buy the full lineup immediately without sacrificing a reroll. So they kind of dropped that tier 1 down a little bit. And I personally think they raised up the stunty level a bit more. It feels like the stunty teams, a lot of them got a bit cheaper, or they got a bit better in some ways. I'm not sure Goblins did, but at least...
Yeah, I think they lost a few things, to be honest.
Yeah, Swoop hurts them a little bit, Swoop not being as good. But the Hooligan actually became a player worth taking. And the fact that the Pogo Stick still has Pogo Stick means you've got that leap element. And Goblins were not that bad to begin with. And their Trolls are now Loner 3+. So they kind of have got a little bit boosted. I think they've raised up tier 3 and they've dropped tier 1. And it is only a little bit. All right, it's only like 5% or whatever. But I feel like in every team in Blood Bowl now, in every single team in Blood Bowl now, you can look at it and you can go, actually, I can do this with these guys and this is going to work. And here's my combo. This is my end goal. This is what I'm going to develop this team to do. And this is what my game plan is. And I think that's way better than it was in Blood Bowl in the last edition, because it felt a little bit watered down where everything was kind of the same, but they've got that little element of nuance with the teams here. So in 2020, Ben, do you think that the mixed teams are going to be, like you said, tier 1? Do you think that's going to be as killer as it potentially felt like in the last edition?
I think there may be ways to make it so, like you mentioned with the change to 2020, even small things like the 5k differences where you might be able to squeeze players in where you normally couldn't. Because there's a little bit more granularity to it all. I think you are right where tier 1 isn't so quite as advanced. I think tier 2 separated a little bit more. I think tier 2 almost, where you say 3 kind of came up, 1 kind of went down, but I feel like 2 kind of, there's a gap in the middle. I think there's definitely some weak tier 2 teams and some strong tier 2 teams.
Yeah, that's bang on actually.
You can definitely fill some of the gaps though, which is kind of what I was saying earlier. So let's say take Nobility for example, who we talked about earlier, and we're always ragging on their thrower. You just stick a human thrower in there instead.
Oh, we're definitely going on to that.
And chuck a couple of extra blitzers in.
It is so sad.
Suddenly you've crafted.
I mean, you are right when it comes to that. You can patch up the teams, but I mean, from brewing this up, I pulled Skaven and Dark Elves in Hangover Bowl, and I think historically that would have been potentially one of the most potent teams kicking around. But now, where the Dark Elf passing's got dropped a bit, but the Skaven passing's got boosted a bit.
Yeah, now you've got a Skaven.
Yeah. All right, actually, I'm sold. That's still going to be an absolutely
Dark Elf.
solid combo. Yeah. And there are going to be a few absolutely killer combos. But I don't think it's not going to sweat anything. I mean, from looking and thinking about some of the combinations, Milton, is there any team there that you were like, I do not want to play against that combo?
That's an interesting one. I don't know. I think, your Skaven Dark Elf sounds pretty horrible. In fact, that was the only team I lost to in the Hangover Bowl. So,
sorry to interrupt. I kind of think Skaven anything.
Yeah,
I agree.
They even have all their positionals. Yeah, it's like they fill every gap.
I think where you can get some players with some really high movement into some normally like slower teams.
Yeah,
works quite well.
Cool, I think.
Like that movement changes everything. If you can get 7 or 8 MA players with decent survivability, and then like a wall of tough, stronger players to sort of catch things out. I think that's huge. That's a huge play for the mixed teams. And
I think that's that actually takes it more towards NFL, which is really quite interesting. So all of the teams in Blood Bowl, they tend to be incomplete from like a American football standpoint, where they've either got like a lot of the dash elements or they've got a lot of the bash elements. And when it comes to mixed teams, you can cherry pick. You've got a bigger roster to pick from. And I don't know, I like that. I mean, well, I'm going to put it out there. Is there anyone who disagrees that it doesn't feel like you are upping the power level of Blood Bowl a bit?
It does up the level, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
I feel like it ramps it up, and it adds that competitive
Depending
element.
on how you play it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So this is just from a power play point of view, and the thing is, Hackflem does everything you guys just said as a star player now. So Chaos Dwarves, these teams all can take Hackflem, who adds that high edge, high speed thing, and that's what makes those teams feel way more complete. So in a tournament setting, having a Chaos Dwarf team that could also take Hackflem, you're kind of like, oh, so you've got a great front line, you've got brilliant kind of blitzers, linebackers with the bull centaurs, and you've got one of the best kind of pass/runners in the game. And it's like, oh, that is really saucy. But that's exactly what you're saying with a team like when you add Skaven to something, when you look at Wood Elves and Dwarves. There's some combos there that you're like, that is going to be tough. And I think you have to preface any kind of element where there is a mixed team thing with either rules to control the combos, which we will come to in a second, or just that knowledge that this is what this environment can be like. And I know rose-tinted spectacles are in a massive effect here, but with the first Bonehead Bowl, and what would have been the second one, but obviously couldn't play, we really owned up to that. We were like, there are three type of people who are going to come to this. There are those who are going to brew up the best team they can because they want to see how far they can push Blood Bowl. Let's chuck Nos on it and see how it goes. There's the second player that's like, oh my god, I can take stunties, I can take big guys for days, I can make a great painting, like this is a modelling opportunity, I'm just going to have fun. And there's the third player that was like, I'm going to take the team I love because this is a new environment. And I'm going to have a bunch of new games that I've never played. So I don't know, Milton, would you say you fit into that third category the first time round with Bonehead Bowl?
Yeah, definitely. I think it hits nail on the head, really.
And I think that's just such a great element to this, is that especially when you're taking mixed teams to a tournament, you are going to be playing some games of Blood Bowl that you have never and will never play again. And I just think that's so exciting because you just absolutely take a game you know really well and max it out. Now, that brings about my next question to you guys. So we'll start with Ian and do a cheeky bit of creeping death here. Given that we are in quite a new format, so one of the exciting things about running mixed teams in 2016 is the format was hecka established, right? You knew Wood Elves are the best and Halflings are the worst and everything in the middle. But now we're in a new format as well. Do you think that, I mean, how long before you think mixed teams are kind of going to be something that people are desperate to explore, given that the standard meta is still under exploration?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting one because I feel like the people who know Blood Bowl well enough, for all the changes in 2020, it is still Blood Bowl, and there's a lot that is the same. I think there is some key differences, but still, if you feel like you know Blood Bowl well enough, it could still kind of have that appeal, I think. I don't know about clambering. I think you've got to be open to it, haven't you? I think maybe a lot of people will just be keen to kind of see how the dust has settled on it. But yeah, I think I'm going to give a really non-committal answer here because I don't actually know. I don't even know how I feel about it necessarily, but I just want to play some games, so I'll play whatever.
Yeah.
What about you, Milton? What do you think about the exploration phase of Blood Bowl? Because we are definitely still exploring 2020. Is it too soon for mixed teams?
No, not really. I think, like Ian, to build on what Ian just said, Blood Bowl as a game is very well established. And yeah, despite the slightly newer rules changes, I don't think it should limit the amount of fun we can have with it. And as Ben said earlier, going into Bonehead Bowl was one of his first sort of like introductions into the Blood Bowl game, and mixed teams didn't stop him, and it cemented his interest in the game. So I say we just go for it and see what happens. I mean, there's so much in Blood Bowl that can sort of change and vary through that mixed teams experience that I don't necessarily think it's going to impact hugely on the standard game kind of meta understanding.
'Cause
I kind of think it has its own sort of unique take on the game.
every setup is different. There are
Completely.
some games where actually I've played this matchup before. I know that this is quite a strong formation, or like here's my opening moves are going to be the same. But as soon as that kickoff table happens, you are playing a almost unique situation. Not often do you play like the same drive over and over again. It's just not the case. We did think it might be more so in Blood Bowl 2020, where some of the combo elements are a little bit stronger, but I really don't think so. I mean, we played a few games in 2020, but it's the same thing. Like Milton says, it's like as soon as you roll that first dice, you're off into a different alternate reality, and it's just going to expand from there. So introducing those teams is just going to create opportunity for.
You've been watching One Division again?
I actually haven't, but I did. I was listening to what was I listening to? Constructed Resources, and they said actually it's really worth a watch. A bit weird to start with, but
I'm
gets
enjoying
really good.
it. Side note, very good.
That's good. So BT, it circles round to you, and like Milton said, it was your first Blood Bowl tournament experience with the mixed teams. So you went from 0 to 100 in Blood Bowl anyway, because you were like, I'll start with goblins because I like losing games. Rocking up and just diving into a place where there's 400 something different team options. How was that for you from a new player, and how do you think that relates now to us all being new players in 2020?
I guess it comes down to just like the mindset you have towards the game. I think for me, it's never really a game where I want to win. Like, I don't really have a competitive mindset when it comes to like this kind of game. I'd much rather just enjoy the experience. Me and might say differently after a 40k game, but I'd much rather just enjoy like the tabletop experience of just like modeling, playing a game with people, having a laugh. I think that means so much more to me than sitting down and winning, personally. And I completely agree that Blood Bowl is a great game for wanting to win, because I think it's a great competitive game. But yeah, that's just my experience. So for me, I think mixed teams just expands that so much more, of just laughing with your opponent, seeing what they've come up with, kind of. You understand a bit about the person with what they've created, I think, and especially how they've done it. I know we definitely have people who regular our tournaments who come up with some really creative teams.
Joe.
And it's just really good fun, and that's my approach to it.
No, I love it. I think it's brilliant. And we're going to gloss over this bit, even though it is a massively important element, is that the third triome of Blood Bowl is the hobby aspect. So, Ben just mentioned there's some people who go massive on the hobby side when it comes to this, and this creates an opportunity to just build something you've never built before, or would never build before. I did it with my Undead team, Undead Khemri, 6 mummies or 4 Tomb Guardians. It's just like it's a team I got to build, I got to stylize, and it's something that I just could do for that one tournament. I mean, for Tombstone, I mean, you guys, Milton built the Ethereal team, you built the Were team. To be fair, for Beachhead, Ian finished painting his Nurgle team. These hobby flashpoints are really useful, but we will move forward a little bit. So how we've done mixed teams in the past, and I think is probably still appropriate, is to stop. There's a thematic imbalance in some elements, and we used alignments in Bonehead Bowl and in Mega Bowl to kind of just separate the teams. We had like a good, a neutral, and a evil. I think it was chaotic. I think it was law, neutral, chaotic, and it kind of grouped the teams together so that it kind of limited a little bit of the interaction. All the neutral teams could work with anybody, and then the good teams could work with neutral, or good, and chaotic. I mean, I think that worked really well. With 29 teams, I think there's 800 and something combinations. If you don't include an alignment thing, with an alignment thing, there's something like 500, which I think is probably plenty. And it does limit some of the power combos. So what we're going to do now is we're going to talk through some combos we think would be awesome for one reason or another. And I think they're all going to kind of fall into the alignment categories anyway. So let's start with Ian. Ian, have you got a pick for us from a mixed team point of view.
Yes.
What are you thinking?
Yeah, so I'm actually kind of coming at it from a bit thematic, but also what I was mentioning earlier about plugging some of the gaps, and going for Nurgle and Skaven.
Ooh, I like this.
So it's kind of a pestilence-y theme.
Mm.
But I mean, 2020 dropping kind of put me down on Nurgle, to be honest. They're quite hard work to play with at the start anyway, in the older edition, but the Rotters kind of looking at their with the agility and passing split. So what are they now? So Rotters, 6+ passing, 4+ agility. So they got a lot worse.
For that bargain of 5k price reduction.
Just and they weren't kind of a particularly high starting tier team anyway. Obviously, a built Nurgle team was always something pretty horrible to face off against, but
definitely.
I just kind of thought you're kind of then forced to rely on the Pestigors for all your ball handling. So why not chuck in some Skaven and kind of share the duties a bit? Because obviously you've got, I think the thrower is kind of an auto pick there. Just being able to kind of pass that ball on a 2, pick it up on a 3.
With the rerolls as well.
With sure hands.
Yeah,
exactly. Just so reliable. Such a great player. I think he's definitely one of the big winners of the new edition.
I
know you were always a fan
agree.
of taking them anyway, but I think he's
they're
just got way better.
You've got a 5th gutter runner now, as far as Skaven are concerned, with that ball carrier, which is pretty good, and I'm okay with it. So the Skaven can plug the gaps of the Nurgle, but what did Nurgle bring to this combo?
Well, I think they've just got what Skaven often lack is the kind of solid line. We always talk about Skaven line rats being very
fodder,
sacrificial pieces. Yeah, exactly. But if you can stick 4 bloaters on the line, I'd probably avoid the big guy initially for costs and stuff anyway. But having 4 bloaters and the fact that they can mess around with the opponent's team's passing and blocking and stuff as well adds an extra frustration element. They bring some strength.
I love that, and it is thematic, and you can kind of gloss over both those teams' vulnerabilities. You add the resilience of Nurgle and the agility of Skaven, and it's really thematic. And I'm not being funny. That would be a really great team to paint up. You could go through town.
A plague monk kind of thing.
Get some screenshots or footage from Vermintide 2. You have all the Nurgle and the Skaven running around together in that.
Hey, this might be a team that works really well in Milton's Lustrian League.
They're loving it over there in Lustria, those plague monks.
No, that's an absolutely superb example. Milton, how about you, man?
So I guess this kind of comes back to our discussion earlier about how the game has changed, and I've kind of gone with the if it ain't broke, then don't try fix it approach of the same team that I ran in Hangover Bowl. And of course the Hangover Bowl stuff was random. We ended up with half a sprue from each box, and I got humans and I got lizards. And I've never ran either of those teams before. But together they were really quite powerful. I think I only got pipped to the post by you by 1 or 2 points, wasn't it? So
it was really close.
And I think, if I'm right, the human team has got a little bit better. So
100%.
The thrower is a lot better now.
So you're looking at you've got your choice. You can take a Croxigor or an Ogre. They're both the same price. You might take the Ogre if you decide to take a Halfling. So you got that option for the 1-turn touchdown if you got that throw teammate, or you can go for the powerhouse of the Croxigor. The Blitzers and the Saurus Blockers are the same cost at 85k, but the human Blitzers have got that 7 movement and block off the bat. But you've got those Saurus Blockers holding that line with the strength 4 really, really well. And the human linemen I found so effective in that team. For 50k,
They're
They're just
efficient.
so
Yeah,
solid.
Armor 8, 50k, 6 movement.
They do a ton
Solid.
of stuff. They do everything you need them to do. They're underrated, I think.
I mean, I would probably say that I wouldn't even bother looking at the skinks in this mixed team particularly,
Oh,
unless
I
there
reckon you
were.
want to chuck in one or two.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
great catchers.
Shame they don't have right stuff.
Like explosive pieces, they've got a
Huh.
stunty.
Yeah, if they were right
Yeah.
stuff, that would be amazing. I mean, maybe one or two, but you think about it, the blitzers already have that 7 MA.
Ah, that's true.
Yeah, but they
the
don't have
skinks
the
are only one
dodging
more.
and
They don't have the dodging, but if you're in a tournament setting and you've got a few skill packages that you can give to them, you can think about sort of maybe giving some of those blitzers dodge and making them blodgers and giving them that accessibility, and they're more reliable in terms of their strength.
They're better all-round
you
players.
could always take the take a chameleon just for the kind of interest of having that new on the ball.
They're really good, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
they are really good.
There's
I love
just
the
a
chameleon.
lot of options in that mixed team, and I really enjoy playing them. I think they were really fun to play, and I suspect they probably fit in the alignment
Yeah,
categories that
Absolutely.
would come up.
Absolutely. Humans, neutral all day long. They can go with absolutely anybody. Now, Milton, I think you're overlooking one tiny thing. Skinks get agility. Catch. They are one little tiny skill away from being
Oh, they
3+
do.
dodging forever with a 3+ reroll on catch because they got that stunty. I would take maybe just one because they're just...
I had overlooked that, yeah.
Because they just...
Well, human
Be-
catchers are basically skinks, aren't they?
but they don't have stunty.
Yeah,
Where
that's
the,
true.
the skinks just run through stuff 3+ with a reroll, 3+ with a reroll, and unless you're Ian, where you fail half your 3+ rolls, when you're dodging, I don't know. But that's the cool thing, and I think you've both already hit on this immediately. Like, there's some awesome combos there, and there's more than one, you know, and that I think is another really beautiful thing about mixed teams is that, like sevens, because in sevens you got up to 4 positionals, there's 3, 4, 5 good builds with every team. When it comes to mixed teams, there's going to be 3, 4, 5 good builds. Like Milton said, do I go Crocsagore and some Saurus with some blitzers and the human? Do I go strong running game? Do I use the human thrower with skinks and stuff to do the catching? Like, it's just cool. Do I go throw teammate?
Catch nerves are still on them.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and that's just awesome. So, yes, Miltonio Banderas, your star player. That was a heck of a game on our sevens competition.
It was. Yeah, it was really close as well, wasn't it?
It was awesome. That was that was this just what, 13 months ago now. That was cracking. When the world reopens, we have to do something like that again, Ben. We'll have to pester you to do it. And now with Snotlings, Imperial Nobility, Black Orcs, Necro, and
So much
Well,
Rogues?
actually, OWA is something that none of us have discussed yet, and I wonder if they actually suffer from mixed teams because of the animosity.
I think they just suffer. I do.
They're like a bad mixed team together.
They
You know,
are, they
I
are.
mean, but previously the only sort of we had Renegades and we have Underworld, and now
yeah.
we've got OWA, and OWA and Snotlings are really new, and so we've not explored them in the mixed team concept yet.
Yeah,
Community
together.
challenge.
yeah.
Someone comment on a good OWA mixed team roster because I'm genuinely interested. See if it can work.
I think you just take humans and dwarves, don't you? And you've got it all.
The dwarves are worse.
Do I know?
Regular
You
dwarves.
just if you want to play OWA,
No, you're literally right. Yeah, because you get the halflings anyway. You get
it's just
an
the tree
ogre
man you're
anyway.
missing. It's just the tree man you'd miss.
Like,
yeah. Well, and to be
Yeah.
fair, and you could get a death roller then too, couldn't you?
Hey, the death roller with pile driver is going to be amazing. It is going to be expensive, 200k or something ridiculous at that point, but it is going to be amazing where it smashes a dude, mighty blow, and then can follow up with a cheeky +2 foul, and guard helps with fouling now. Honestly, death roller, even though it's
one player for
Yeah.
160k.
as long as it's
I
another
still
death
struggle
roller.
with this.
Yeah.
This OWA tier 1 ranking. I struggle.
Oh yeah, that is optimistic. However, we may play out. There's a tournament that I think it was in France in the last month. I'm not sure if it actually played or not. I'll check on the monthly meta. They upped Necro and Imperial Nobility to a tier 1.5 instead of tier 2. And I know.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I thought that was quite interesting. I think that's
That is interesting.
But we are really still in a new edition where actually we could find out that, I mean, so far we found out that Khemri is awesome, having won 2 tournaments, and that Snotlings are awesome, having just destroyed multiple teams. It is a new format, and we are going to find out that some teams are really good, and it could be that actually OWA are better than we thought. I can't see them being tier 1. But I mean, Milton, you just played against the worst version of them with Bretonians who are tier 1, and it was a brawl.
Yeah, it was. Although I just had to double check that they were tier 1 in the rulebook. I didn't quite believe it when you just said
no, I just saw it when I was flicking through it, and I can't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Surprise.
To be perfectly honest, Ian played a fantastic game with them, and they can be quite bashy, really. If you're playing them right, those dwarves and the ogre.
Yeah, oh no, it's the bad thrower, isn't it? I was gonna say they still have a human thrower, but
it's a bad thrower. It's not the bad thrower, but it's still a bad thrower.
Old world.
Yeah,
old world human thrower. Yeah, why is he throwing on a 3?
Yeah,
he's old.
He's old world.
Yeah, it's
old school.
It's just like
they're all geriatric.
Yeah, all the retired players from the other teams. The beat up dwarves, the old retired thrower, and the racist humans. They're all coming out and
so in
just playing
2016 then.
Yeah.
Was obviously they only had a very, very short time in the game. Was it literally just carbon copies of their main counterparts, sort of thing?
I don't know about the
because
human
they've
thrower.
obviously changed things up a little bit in this edition. Haven't they?
It was, but everybody had Loner 4+, including the halfling.
Yeah.
I've just noticed something about the OWA rules. Their animosity actually specifies which teammates. So if you were running a mixed team, they're not specified in the animosity, so it's not actually a problem.
You can throw it to a lizard. It's not a dwarf.
It says animosity, all dwarf and halfling teammates. But yeah, if you've got lizard men, it's not in that rule.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Now, when it came to mixed teams before, we did discuss whether or not animosity would be worthwhile, but actually it didn't add a lot, so we didn't add it.
Yeah, it complicates things and makes it less fun.
Yeah, and I think Orc players will agree with you on that one. So, BT, how about you? Have you got a good brew for us?
Yes, we kind of mentioned it earlier, and you asked me as well, what do we think will change in 2020? And while I don't think, personally, for me, much will change, because it's less about the rules, I think this was kind of an attempt to make it change. So I've done humans and nobility, and this is more just a case of, I think, will be quite a fun 2020 mixed team, just kind of taking nobility for the hell of it, even though the more I think about it, the more I think it's like nerfing humans. So it's like, I think where I have it in mind, where it could be really fun, is I think nobility have a really good place in mixed, especially Zevons, because your blitzers have catch. So you've kind of got 2 players and 1. So if you have a positional limit, which mixed teams often do, to some extent, I think being able to do stuff like having your block and catch on 1 player really helps you free up other choices. So you can take your thrower and probably another human blitzer, just so you have that 3 punch with a thrower and also good catching, so you can do like the runs. I think that would be pretty solid. I think there's definitely ways you can experiment with this team, and ultimately, it's always going to work however you model it. I think you could really have some fun, like making the nobility like proper over the top noble, and going to like peasant for like lineman, doing the full like empire range.
If only there was a team that had both kind of knightly, lordly characters supported by peasantry.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Bretonian's going to be like the squat team for Blood Bowl now forever. I think we're going to have people still playing Bretonians and using them as different stuff. That's wicked. I've got a few that the guys on the Patreon actually came up with, which I thought were brilliant. Timothy said I'd mix up a Monster Mash team with Shambling Undead and a bit of Necromantic to just chuck in all the monsters. I like that as well. Nurgle and Skaven, Rob Thompson. Marriage
Good
Maiden,
choice.
Filth, get some speed and some power mutations. You can see a nice sewer theme. Yeah, is there. Anton hates his friends. Dwarf and Kemri, slowest team around. But man, imagine the bash. Imagine the bash on that one.
Yeah.
And I think that there's actually a ton of good suggestions, but Skaven and Necro, also a really good combo. And
Very fast.
And some stunty mixes here, and that would be my sort of choice here. Obviously Dark Elves and Skaven, great combination. But I think a great combo would be Snotlings and Ogres.
Yeah.
The price decrease is fantastic, but you kind of fix the Ogres a little bit. You add some fun secret weapons, you add a little bit of extra positionals, but also Snotlings have swarming, which when tied in with Riotous Rookies will just maximise the carnage on the pitch, because you'll have 4 Ogres, maybe a Pump Wagon, a Fun Hopper, a Stilty, a Bombardier, and then still like 6 or 7 Snotlings and Noblars just running around, sidestep, dodging, being thrown, being kicked. Like, this is just absolute ridiculousness. And it would look so sweet to have like this just little army of little guys and big guys. I mean, I love the Snotling team, but just more big guys and more little guys. It boosts both sides. Ogres are more reliable than Trolls. Snotlings have got swarming, and they've got like the extra little positionals. And quite frankly, they're just 2 of the best model kits that Games Workshop have dropped because they're so much fun.
Totally.
That would be my first go-to, is because actually you get more big guys and you get way more little guys. And I just think that would just be carnage. I'm not convinced it would perform very well, but it would perform better than either of those teams on their own. The Ogres would make a Snotling team better, and Swarming would make an Ogre team better. So, you're squeaking out at like tier 2.9 then, and that's just living the dream.
Really pushing that envelope.
But I really
I love
don't
that team a lot.
I really don't think there's any bad combos. I think Dwarves, Wood Elves, and Dark Elves, Skaven are probably 2 of the combos that, if you want to play to win, would give you one of the best opportunities. But I still think that any of the rosters we've talked, they've all got an angle, they've all got a game plan, they've all got great modelling potential, and that's just.
The thing is, even if you just take 1 or 2 players from the other team, you've done that with the purpose of improving the kind of base team.
Now,
so I think it would come down to composition, because obviously if you took a whole team of Rotters and Skaven Lightmen, you kind of lost the advantages of both.
Yeah.
It wouldn't cost you very much though.
No, it wouldn't.
And I think
I
think a couple of things we probably didn't mention at the top is that what we used the rules for Bonehead Bowl and for Mega Bowl is the team with the most expensive reroll. That's the reroll you use, and we put was it 4 players minimum from each team. So you couldn't just add 1 Gutter Runner to a Dark Elf team. You had to add, up to 4 players. But you know what? The linemen on most teams are not bad, and it never really restricted the build. It just meant you couldn't just do dwarves with a war dancer. It had to be a dwarf.
So Ben, on your human nobility mix, you're paying 70k for the rerolls instead of the humans.
Yes, the big nerf to humans. It really is.
And I think having that.
Actually, it would be the same with the Skaven Nurgle combo as well. You're going from 50 to 70.
Yeah, and I think that's one slightly balancing element. We did do it before that it was that plus 10, but you got an extra fan factor for each. Just really wasn't worth it. Really, it wasn't needed. So we dropped it down to just the most expensive reroll. That way, you're not just taking Nurgle team, taking 4 Skaven, and then using the cheap rerolls.
That's definitely something to think about, though, isn't it? Like to try and get a bit of efficiency out of them. Try and find teams which have the same reroll value.
Yeah, definitely. I think
it's definitely a consideration, because if you're taking 3 rerolls, that's 60 extra K, so you lose a player basically.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, depends how you look at it, obviously, but.
So I think we can probably wrap up the mixed team combo here. I absolutely love this idea. I love it more in 7s because we can get more games in. So, Ben, as soon as we reopen the world, I think it needs to be Coronavirus Hangover Bowl. And we've got more teams now, more sprues. It could be sweet to just get some absolutely outrageous combinations.
Vaccine Bowl.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. I like that, actually. All right, it's decided. Ben, you're running that. Thank you very much. Right, cool. We are going to take a little bit of a break, and we'll be back with Bash or Dash. And we're back, and it is time for our very first and probably last episode of Bash or Dash, our Blood Bowl game show. We've got our 3 competitors, and we're going to go through at least 3 rounds where we are setting them up with some team matchups, and they will have to identify whether the team they've chosen in that round is the Bash team or the Dash team. And we've got this data from you guys, our viewers, who've put in your votes for the top 5 Bash and the top 5 Dash teams ready for top 5 Fridays. We're going to be able to compare that data as we go and say in a specific matchup whether you, the listeners, have rated a team Bash or Dash. So the rules for the game are very simple compared to what I wanted them to be. If anybody's seen the episode of Friends where they look at Bamboozled, that's kind of where I was going, but we toned it down a little bit.
It's turned out more as Ultimate Fireball.
Oh yeah, we'll do that next time. So basically every round we'll have 3 teams up on the board. Starting with the player with the lowest points, they'll get to choose a team. They can choose whether they want to go 1, 2 or 3 guesses, and they have to get all the guesses right to score their points. So if you can take it easy and take 1, and if you get it right you get 1 point, or you can go difficult at 2 or 3, but you have to get all 3 right to score the points. And what basically that means is, so say we had halflings up there and Ben said I choose the halfling team but I want 3 guesses please. We'll have 3 teams generated, and he'll have to go one by one to determine whether his team halflings are Bash or Dash in that matchup. If he gets them all right, he gets 3 points. If he doesn't, then the next lowest player, the player who's got less points than him, can blitz, finish off his guesses and steal those points. We are going to do at least 3 rounds. I do have a super secret round that we're going to sneak in there, and there is obviously a speed round if we need it for tiebreakers. I have had far too much fun preparing this, and I know that it's now 11 o'clock at night, but I am having a great time already.
Night is still young.
All right, okie dokie. So we will bring up the teams for the first round. So we kind of did a warm-up round before. Do you guys have any questions before we start?
Yeah, I was going to say we need like a round to say like I'm Ben, I'm from Southampton.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Tell us a fun. What's your name and where'd you come from?
Whoa, that's an absolute doozy. All right, I've got
Bit retro,
I've got a thing here. We'll start off, and our first contestant for today is Ian Warhammer. Ian, how are you today?
So that was the crowd.
It's the best I could do. It's the best I could do.
More like it. Yeah.
Ian, who are you? Where are you from?
I'm Ian, aka Warhammer. And I'm from Dibden Purloo.
Nice. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Ian. I'm pleased to see that you're an avid watcher.
I lost a bet. So.
You did, actually, a long time ago. Okay, fantastic. And now to introduce our second guest. Actually, don't know how to stop that when it's playing. We've got Miltonio Banderas. Milton, how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you, Ben.
Fantastic. Where are you from, Milton? And what brings you here?
I'm from Taunton, and I'm here for the bash.
Fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. That's so good. That's so good. Right, do I have another intro here lined up, ready? I do not.
Yeah, the haircut's not that bad.
Yeah. Okay, so sorry, Ben. You can have this one instead. It's Ben. How are you doing today, Ben?
Hello. Fantastic. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you for joining us on the show. Where are you from and what brings you here?
I'm from Southampton, and I'm here because there's the co-host spot available.
All right, fantastic. I think we're ready to move on to our first round. Let's bring up the top 3 teams, and then I am going to randomly determine which one of you starts with the honorary less points. Let's go with 90 for the visibility there. So the 3 teams in round 1 are Black Orcs, Humans, and Imperial Nobility. So I've got my dice. We're going to go Blood Tithe Ben 1-2, Milton 3-4, and Warhammer 5-6. It's Warhammer. So Ian, you are up first in round 1. Which of these teams would you like to choose?
Well, I think given my avatar that's popped up on the screen, I think I've got to go for Black Orcs.
I think that is a great choice. Okie dokie. And would you like to go for 1?
It seems the most clear cut, hopefully.
1, 2, or 3 points?
Do you know what? I'm going to go big or go home because there's nowhere else to go. So I'm going to go for 3.
Okay, fantastic. Right, so we're going to go through these teams one by one. We're going to be asking Ian in the matchup whether Black Orcs are bash or dash. If he is right, he will get a point. If he gets all 3 right.
Oh, come on. Look at that. Oh, no. Look at that.
Yeah, it's slightly less easy than the warm-up questions. Okay, so the first one that Ian has got, Ian's 3 teams here are going to be Dwarves, Norse, and Skaven. So we are going to start with his first matchup. So Black Orcs versus Dwarves, Ian. Black Orcs, are they bash or dash? And this is obviously voted by our viewers. So Black Orcs, bash or
that's a tricky
dash?
one to start with, to be honest. But I think given the throw teammate and the goblin side of it, I think in this matchup, and given that Dwarves literally are bash, the Black Orcs are randomly going to be dash, I think.
He gets it right. Our listeners did say that in a Black Orc versus Dwarf matchup, the Black Orcs do have the dash edge. So that is 1 point there. So the second team, onwards and upwards. Ian's 1 for 1 so far. It is Norse. So Black Orcs versus Norse. Are they bash or dash?
Oh, now this is a really tricky one because, see, Norse love a bit of bashing, but they've also got runners. And a few speedy players with the Berserker and stuff. So I'm going to say Black Orcs are bash in this matchup.
Oh, I'm afraid that they also got a dash rating when playing against Norse. Yep. But that was a good element. Unfortunately, because of that, you score no points. And I'm going to randomly determine which one of you guys can blitz, and it is Milton. So Milton, you can swoop in here and blitz. So you get to guess the Black Orcs versus Skaven matchup. Black Orcs versus Skaven. Are Black Orcs bash?
Enjoy your points, Milton.
Or dash?
I'm going to say they're bash. That's what I came here for.
There we go. He gets it. So Miltonio Banderas swoops in, blitzes Ian, and takes the lead with a mighty 1 point. Ian, that was a valiant effort. Maybe. Oh, Ben has also got a point. That isn't going to work, is it?
Oh, sweet.
I know.
I know.
Yeah. Poor Ian. This is completely rigged. No, it's obviously...
Well, it's all right, because then I'll get some blitz next.
That is true. Okay, so that was Warhammer. So next up is going to be Blood Tithe Ben. Let me bring up our original 3 teams for round 1. So after watching Ian succeed, how are you feeling about this round so far, Ben?
That's the one I would have taken. Yeah, I'm going to go for Humans.
Okay, so Ben is going to go for Humans. So I am going to bring up the human teams. Are you going to be taking 1, 2, or 3 here? Oh, that went completely
I'm going
solid.
to go for... Yeah, sorry, I realised I was muted for a minute.
Can't take the
saw the
pressure.
mouth move.
Can't take the
Nothing came
pressure. Yeah.
I'm going to give it I'm going to go for 2.
Gonna go.
Make it a bit safe.
Gonna go for 2. Okay, so let's bring up the matchups here. Obviously, only the top 2 are gonna be important, so we will ignore goblins for now. Ooh, okay. So humans versus lizardmen. In that matchup, are the human teams bash or dash?
Dash.
Dash with the runnings?
Yeah, with the runnings.
Is that your final answer?
Don't say that.
Don't worry, you are right in the matchup.
Oh,
Humans
well done.
versus lizardmen. Humans have been rated as the dash team. And then for your second one, if you get this right, you will score both points. Skaven. Humans versus Skaven. Are humans bash or dash?
I'm going to go bash.
Bash with the punching.
Yeah.
For the
Punching.
points, you are here to bash clearly as much as Milton is. Now, that puts you into the lead, but Milton has still got a turn to take. And if he screws that up, he can get
Yeah,
blitzed
I'm going to blitz you,
by
Milton.
Ian.
Going to blitz you.
So, Milton, that leaves the last team on our board, which was Imperial Nobility. Would you like 1, 2, or 3?
I'm gonna go for 3.
Gonna go
Yeah,
for
I
3.
knew you would.
Fantastic. So your 3 teams with Imperial Nobility are Slan, Dark Elves, and Lizardmen. So interesting matchup here. Interesting matchup. Okay, so very first, Imperial Nobility versus Slan. Have our listeners rated that bash or dash?
I'm gonna say bash.
You would be right. Milton is here to bash, and he's 1 for 1 so far. Imperial Nobility versus Slan. Our listeners think the Slan are going to get knocked about a bit, and given that I got knocked about by Ian's halflings, I think that's probably not the worst idea. Okay, magical. So the second matchup you've got, Milton, is Dark Elves. Imperial Nobility versus Dark Elves. Imperial Nobility, are they bash or dash?
That's a tricky one, isn't it? Well, I think traditionally elves are. I know the Dark Elves have a bit more bash going on with them, but I think they're more dash. So I'm going to go bash again.
You are 2 for 2 when it comes to Imperial Nobility. Our listeners voted the Dark Elves slightly more bashy than the Imperial Nobility. Slightly less bashy than Imperial Nobility. Which brings you on to your third one. Now, if you get this right, you're going to get 3 points and go way into the lead, Milton. So, Imperial Nobility versus Lizardmen, bash or dash?
See, the Lizardmen have quite a lot of static, high-strength players, which sort of outdo the Imperial Nobility. So for this one, I think it's going to be dash.
Milton gets 3 for 3, taking him straight into the lead. Our first sweep. Well played, Milton. That was close. The Dark Elf Imperial Nobility matchup is a really tight one when it comes to bash or dash, and it can be. You can kind of consider it going both ways, but I think having the ogre there, along with the 6 combat pieces, gives the edge to Imperial Nobility. So that wraps it up for round 1. Ian. Obviously a tough round for you.
Yeah.
How you holding up, kid?
Yeah. It's still all to play for.
It is.
Is.
It is. And you get the first pick in the second round as well. Would you like to see what the teams are?
Ooh. Yeah, go on then.
All right, let's put them up on the board. Round 2. Chaos Renegades,
Ooh.
Amazons, and Snotlings.
I'm going to take Snotlings.
You're going to take Snotlings
For
and
3, please.
Snotlings for 3, please. There we go. That's exactly
Yes.
where I was hoping this would go. Okay, we've got Snotlings. Snotlings for 3. Let's check it up on the board. Ooh, some interesting matchups there. A couple you would probably consider a bit of a gimme, but I never know with you in, so we'll have
Yeah. That one in the... yeah. I'm such a wild card.
Okay, let me have a look. Have I got the
Okay,
answers up?
against Khorne.
Yep.
Against Khorne, we'll say they are the dash team.
Ooh.
The Snotlings are the dash team.
He gets it right. Snotlings are dash when facing Khorne. So the second team, you've got a matchup here. You've got Snotlings versus Wood Elves. Are Snotlings the bash or the dash team in that matchup?
Yeah, I mean, they've got 4 strength 5 pieces, so we'll go for... And Wood Elves just are dashy, aren't they? So we'll go for Snotlings are the bash team.
He gets it right. So you are 2 for 2. And now to finish off, see if you can't 3 and 3 this round. It's Snotlings versus Underworld.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm wishing I went for 2. This one is less than obvious to me.
It is a tough one. So
Underworld have got Skaven, haven't they? But not Gutter Runners, right?
Oh, they've got one Gutter Runner.
Did they?
Yeah. Underworld.
Did they used to?
No, they got leveled up in the middle of last year, the same time as OWA.
When did you ask your listeners?
This is last Saturday.
Oh, okay. Darn.
Okay, so Snotlings versus Underworld here, Ian. To get you up on the board, is it bash or dash for Snotlings?
Underworld have got 2 big guys they can take, haven't they? This is agonising. I'm going to say Snotlings are going to be dash.
So Snotlings dash in Underworld, allowing Underworld to be the bash team. Is that right? Our listeners have rated Snotlings as the dash team, as the bash team in that matchup.
I was going to say that's what I said.
Really?
Yeah. Underworld, they've got some power behind them, but they only have one big guy, and the majority of the team is strength 2. I know that Snotlings is strength 1, but they can choose between 2, but they can only take the one. Yeah. So that sits Ian at 0 points. And we don't get a chance to blitz in this situation, but that's okay, Ian. You'll have plenty of opportunity to blitz for the rest of the game. Okay, so Snotlings are off the board. We move on to Ben now, who is in second place. You've got a choice.
Yeah, I told you they were the dash team.
Between Amazons and Chaos Renegades. Another couple of tough teams there.
So I'm going to play it safe again. I'm going to go Renegades for 2.
Okay, Renegades for 2. So we will ignore the third one here for Renegades. Boop, boop, boop. And the 2 teams they've got facing is Old World Alliance and Imperial Nobility. So this is like the mid-range matchup here. How you feeling about those ones, Ben?
This is really tough.
Getting ready to blitz.
So okay,
I'm just having the best
first
time.
one, Old World Alliance,
Chaos Renegades, Old World Alliance, the Chaos Renegades, the bash team or the dash team. Now I'm actually having to go and double check the results here because it's
right. So Renegades, they have Renegades and Old World Alliance. They're the same linemen basically.
Yep.
They do get mutations. They don't have dwarves. They both have a choice of big guys, but Renegades get a Minotaur, which is even more bashy. Renegades get a Dark Elf. There's no edge for. I'm going to say Renegades are the dash team.
D for dash.
Mm-hmm.
D for dunce. I'm afraid. Scathing remarks. I'm afraid to say that Chaos Renegades, with their 3 big guys, are rated as a more bashy team than the Old World Alliance with their ogre and pretend dwarves. That was a really, really close one, though. A really, really horribly close one. And excitingly for Ian, you now get to blitz.
Let's have a B for blitz.
B for blitz here. So Chaos Renegades versus Imperial Nobility. Are they bash or dash?
I'm going to go another B. I'm going to stick with the theme and go for Renegades being the bashier.
You steal the point there, Ian. You are now on the board with a cheeky 1 point blitz.
I'd say I'm in a good position now because I've got 1 point. I'm still the lowest.
Next level.
Striking range.
Spot the stunty player, everybody. I'm in a good position here, guys. I've got 1 touchdown. Fantastic. All right. That's brilliant. Okay, that brings us round to our round leader at the moment, Miltonio Banderas. So which teams have we had so far? We've had Chaos Renegades, we've had Snotlings, which means Amazons are next up. Milton, 1, 2, or 3?
3, please, Ben.
Okie dokie. Amazons for
I was
3.
hoping you'd say that.
Let's go to the board. We've got Amazons versus Nurgle, Amazons versus Underworld, and Amazons versus Undead. So let's. How are you feeling about these 3, Milton? Confident?
So. We'll see.
Okay. I like it. Right, let's bring up the answers on my screen. Ooh, interesting. Bit of dramatic tension there. Okie dokie. So, first things first. Amazons versus Nurgle, Milton. Are the Amazon team the dash or the bash?
I'll be honest, the only thing I know about Nurgle is that Ian doesn't like them. So, it doesn't leave me a lot to work with.
Well, if it helps, they've both got the same speed on both teams in terms of the top speed player.
So, yeah, leaving me with Amazons was quite tough. I don't think I know a lot about them either. I think this would have definitely been Ian's specialist category. I'm gonna say dash.
Okay, so Milton is going for dash. Amazons versus Nurgle. Milton thinks that Nurgle are going to have the bash edge, and Amazons are going to be dashing, and they're going to be dashing to the first correct answer of Milton's round 2.
I'm assuming because Nurgle have a big guy, right?
Yeah, Nurgle have got a ton of strength, and even though
and
Amazons
4 strength 4.
Amazons have got some serious bash
for days.
potential. The strength edge there goes to Nurgle. Okie dokie, so that brings us up to your second team. We've got Amazons versus Underworld. So in that, Amazons, are they bash or dash, Milton?
Oh, so this goes back to the gutter runner discussion, doesn't it? And you've got, is this no, because Snotlings are 20, aren't they? So this wouldn't.
Oh no, he said he asked them on Saturday.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
This is
It would factor in, yeah.
well, you can't guarantee there's not going to be some legacy. We've seen that in some of our top 5s before. But yeah.
The Underworld have a big guy, while the Amazons don't. But they have a lot. I'm going to say the Amazons are the bash in this situation.
So if in doubt, Milton likes to bash it out and get...
Yeah.
Don't we all?
It's what I came here for.
I'm crying. Okay, fantastic. Okay, Milton, you are 2 for 2 here now. So, in the final one, and
Flashing out a clip now.
and to take the full 3 points here, Amazons versus Undead, are the Amazon team the bash or the dash?
Okay, well, at least the Undead I have a good understanding of. We've got a couple of mummies, which don't go very far, high strength, pretty bashy. We've got Whites, who are pretty good blitzers, pretty bashy too. Not much mobility on the Undead team other than the ghouls, and they're fairly fragile. But then... Okay, I'm gonna say dash.
So Amazons versus Undead. Milton thinks our listeners think that the Amazon team are going to be more dashing than bashing, and he would be right. Milton rockets up there with 7 points. That was some excellent work there. I like the way you talked through as well. That was good to hear. your thought process. So that finishes up round 2. So Milton is in the lead with 7 points. Blood Tithe Ben is in second place with 2, and Ian's feeling very good about things because he's got 1 point.
Well, I've worked out I can win this.
Oh, you definitely,
All right, hear me out.
definitely.
If I
Can.
get 3 now,
Yep.
then it's Blood Tithe second. If he goes for points, and then I'll be the lowest team. So I can blitz him.
You get to blitz him. It's going to be all about the blitzing.
I can't win. It's fine. Let's do it. What teams have we got?
But maybe
If-
you can win it. Because
Oh. Is it double point?
it is time for the double point special round.
It's double points.
This is the mixed team show, so I think it only makes sense that we have a mixed teams round, twice the teams, twice the points. So here we go. It's the super secret round, and there are some tough teams up on the board here. In the super secret round, we've got Norse and OWA. We've got Nobility and Amazons. And we've got Ogres and Black Orcs. And I'm just going to warn you, Ian, that you will be facing mixed teams as well. So this is like carnage.
Yeah.
Every correct answer is 2 points. So it's literally doubled. And it's all good to go. So, Ian, you get the first pick in the super secret round. Which team are you going for?
We're going to go Ogres and Black Orcs, please.
Ogres and Black Orcs. What's your reasoning for that one?
It's a lot of meat on the pitch.
Mm.
I'm hoping.
A lot of meat to bash.
A lot of meat to bash. Yeah.
And is that 1, 2, or 3, Ian?
Of 3, of course.
I assumed that, which is lucky because I put it up on the screen a bit too fast.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
That's
I
good.
I think I like the look of them, so it's fine.
All right, so it is absolute carnage here now. We've got mixed teams fighting it out. The wind is coming up, apparently, which is also thematic. So you are going to be facing Skaven and Vampire, Undead and Chaos Chosen, and Humans and Halflings. This is like Bonehead Bowl on a very, very, very bad day. So, first things first, Ogres and Black Orcs versus Skaven and Vampire, mixed team, Ian. Ogres and Black Orcs, are they bash or dash?
I think they're going to bash their heads in. So we'll go for bash.
They do bash their heads in. So you get your first correct answer, Ian. This could be on your way to scoring 6 points here and getting you tied at first position. If you get the next 2 answers right. And the next one for you is Undead and Chaos Chosen. So Ogres and Black Orcs against Undead and Chaos Chosen. That is going to be a ton of block dice for everybody. And this is pretty tough one, this one.
It is because you've got all those big guys, but also a load of strength too. But Undead, Chaos Chosen, they're both quite bashy. So I think there's no doubt Chaos Chosen are bash. They're like some of the kings of bash. Undead, I think we said were more bashy than Amazon, didn't we? Just now.
I don't remember.
Milton? So, actually, on the balance of things, it sounds wrong to say, but I think Ogres and Black Orcs are going to be the dash team in this matchup.
So, Ogres and Black Orcs. Do our listeners think that is going to be faster than Undead and Chaos Chosen?
Trying to guess on your algorithm.
Ian's figured out the machine code. He's got that right. So 2 for 2 in this round here. It all comes down to this last one.
I think that was hopefully the hardest one.
That was a pretty tough gig.
So I'm going to say Ogres and Black Orcs would be bash against Humans and Halflings.
So bash against Humans and Halflings. Final answer?
Yes.
And he does it. Ian coming straight in there and swooping in the special super secret double mixed team special points round, getting 6 points.
Told you that.
And taking
I knew I was in a good position.
to 7 points and putting him in tied first place with Milton. Okay, so that was the first of our super secret round teams. That's
It's
Ogres
be a
and
roll
Black
off
Orcs.
to steal Ben's points now, isn't it?
Gone. Yeah. So Bloodtithe Ben, you've got Norse and Old God Alliance, and Nobility and Amazons. Which of these dual teams do you want to duel with?
Okay, I'm going to take a leaf out of the Warhammer Tactics guide, and I'm going to go for Norse and OWA for 2.
Norse.
If I get 2, I put them on 6, which means I get the blitz.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, that's clever.
Okay, so for 2 means you don't have to deal with Lisbon and Necromantic anymore. So Norse and OWA, they're going to be facing Chaos Dwarves and Undead, and Imperial Nobility and Orcs. Now, these teams are randomly generated, so alignments don't count. I don't know about Imperial Nobility, whether they'd be neutral or not. Maybe they would. Maybe they wouldn't.
The shady ones would.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. I think
a
they
bit dodgy, aren't they?
got paid enough.
They'll deal with anyone. Yeah.
Okay, so let me just get the answers ready here. So Norse and OWA against Chaos Dwarf and Undead, mixed teams. What are your thoughts
Right,
here?
Chaos Dwarf are undoubtedly Bash, but then so are Norse. So I feel like they're going to be pretty equal in terms of Bash, maybe a little bit of Dash on the North side. Undead, we've kind of established a pretty Bash because they out.
We figured it out, boys.
Yeah, they outbash Amazon. OWA have the dash potential with the human catcher and the halfling. I'm going to say they're the dash team.
Okay, so Norse and OWA are being outbashed by Chaos Dwarf and Undead. I think I can see that. And our listeners agree with you, Ben. You've got the first one right. Now all you need to do is get the second one right to swoop in and grab 4 points to leave you in the position for a jolly good blitzing. So here we go. Norse and Old World Alliance mixed team. We agreed that would be rubbish. Versus Imperial Nobility and Orcs. Are the Norse team here? Are they bashing or are they dashing?
This is tough as well. I think this is even tougher. I think the Orcs are really bashy, but Milton showed they can, they can throw a game if they're up against really,
and they can really foul.
Yeah. This is tough. I think because of the Dwarves and OWA and the sheer bash of Norse with all that block, and they have a couple of strength 4 as well that outblock it, and the Yeti is really bashy. I'm going to say in this matchup, they're the bash team.
Okay, so Norse
B for bash.
OWA are outbashing Imperial Nobility and Orcs. Let's have a look and see if our listeners agree with you, and if they do, you get 4 points. Are Norse and OWA more bashy than Imperial Nobility and Orcs? They are, Ben. You got it right.
Well done, Ben.
This is really spicy
the
now.
scores on that one were
tough.
really close, but your reasoning was absolutely bang on. You got the Yeti, you got the Ulfs, and I know you got Black Orcs on the Orc side, but the Nobility, not quite as bashy as OWA, perhaps.
Yeah.
For the overall score. Right, fantastic. So that brings us to our round leader at the beginning, but now tied with Ian Warhannam Hannam. And the last team available. I've lost my page here. I've still lost the page here. Where on earth did it go? Wow, that's actually really awkward. I've lost it.
What a time to have a commercial break.
Yeah, wouldn't that be useful? So that leaves Milton with Nobility and Amazons. So Milton,
that's an interesting
Nobility
combo.
and Amazons, 1, 2, or 3.
Right, Ben. Now, didn't realise that Ben was going to get so competitive and do a cheeky little 2 to get up to the 6
see
to
what-
take the steal.
Go for one, screw him
And
over.
I could go for 1 here, but that's not how I'm going to play it. So I'm going to go for 3.
Came to bash.
Ooh,
Because I
Milton's
came
gonna
for
go.
bash, and the best way to bash would be to get another 6 points and leave these guys in the dirt.
Oh, I love it. Love the fighting talk. So, nobility and Amazons got some really interesting matchups here. Goblins and Wood Elves, Chaos Chosen and Halflings, and Orcs and Underworld. So, Goblins and Wood Elves definitely breaking the alignment charts there. Chaos Chosen and Halfling, I can definitely see that. And Orcs and Underworld, I don't think I would like to play against that team. So, I like these matchups. I think they're quite interesting. So let's start at the beginning here. What are your thoughts, Milton, on nobility and Amazons fighting against goblins and wood elves?
Well, this is already a tough opening because the goblins get secret weapons, big guys. The wood elves get a tree. So there's potential for a lot of damage output there. You know, quite a lot of bash. Traditionally, they're both quite dashy teams with all that dodge and the high agility, whereas the nobility and the Amazons are quite middling. That's a tough one.
All good points.
Don't have much in the way of high strength, but I think on par, the goblins and wood elves are generally more dash, so I'm going bash, Ben.
Okay, so nobility and Amazons are going to be bashing goblins and wood elves around. What do our listeners think? He's got his first one right. He's on the way to a super 6 points there. So goblins and wood elves are in fact less bashy than nobility and Amazons. I can see that. Nobility have got the ogre, and the goblins have got the trolls, but Amazons are just horrible to play with. And wood elves, bless them, fall apart if you just sneeze near them. So I think that one makes a bit of sense. Okay, Milton, that brings us to your second matchup here. Nobility and Amazons against the Chaos Chosen and Halfling team.
Okay. So that's a real...
Yeah, are you going to be bashing your way to
end
success?
of the scale there.
Or are you going to have to
The
dodge?
halflings.
Hmm.
Halflings do get trees, though. And they do get those hefty fellas.
Hefties.
Yeah.
I think they're all kind of hefty fellas. It's their jam.
Yeah.
Chaos Chosen are undoubtedly bashy.
Yeah.
You know, there's no doubt about that. They've got the Minos, they've got the high strength warriors, they've got more options now in season 2, haven't they? So they've got the ogre and the troll. It's those halflings. And again, you know, the nobility and the Amazons are really in the middle there.
They are. It's almost as
But
if these matchups
with all the
are...
dodge on the Amazon team and all the fend for holding up the line and the blitzers kind of mobility on the nobility, I'm gonna go with them being the dash team.
So nobility and Amazons dash against Chaos Chosen and Halflings, Milton.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we think Chaos Chosen and Halflings are going to bash you up. You'd be right. So that's...
If you could get this one wrong, that would be perfect.
I think Ben would agree with you.
Come on.
All right, Milton.
Ben's made a speed round.
This is it.
I
There
think
is a
this
speed round.
I think this is on par with like the £1 million question on.
Yeah.
This one for a dominating lead going into the fourth round here, Milton, which I've ironically called round 3. Nobility and Amazons.
Oh, is there a fourth round? I thought this was it.
No. There's one more round. This is the
Oh,
super
okay.
secret
I
round.
was getting all tense.
Oh, it's still tense, Ian. Come on.
Well, oh, sorry. Yeah.
And he's pretty tense looking at these all underworld.
The sound of my feelings right now. All right, Milton. This is it. To put you in a solid position for the next round. Nobility and Amazons taking on Orcs and Underworld. Are you bash or are you dash?
Well, the Underworld's a tricky one, isn't it? Because I think they are with the goblins, with the gutter runner, and only the one big guy and some rather middling Skaven. They're fairly dashy. The Orcs, I would say, are undoubtedly bashy. At least how I play them.
That's any team. to
That's
be fair,
every
though, isn't
team.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oof. You do get a troll on both the orcs and the underworld.
Or
So you've got
a
2
rat
big
ogre.
guys against no big guys.
The nobility does get an ogre.
Oh yeah, that's sorry, that's true. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, they do, don't they?
Just want to
Ooh.
make sure that there's even more to think about. Okay. Nobility
Oh,
and
this is really
Amazons.
tough.
Nobility and Amazons. Orcs and Underworld. Dash or bash, Milton?
I'm gonna say that the nobility and the Amazons are the bash team in this case.
So Nobility and Amazons are out bashing Orcs and Underworld. Our listeners say no.
Yeah,
no.
I think nobility let them down.
Orcs and Underworld with those black orcs, those blitzers, and the cheeky little rat ogre there. It's really close on points, but it is a potential for a absolute wrecking. So Milton scores 0 points there, and that means that we go into round 3 after our super secret round at 1 point separating Ian, Milton, and Ben. So this does mean that Ben gets the first pick of our teams in round 3. And you got Nurgle.
I was rubbing my hands together, by the way, audio listeners. I realised I could have been pretty.
Okay, Ben. You've got 3 great
Ooh.
choices here. Nurgle, Necromantic, and Chaos Chosen. Which one of these is going to help put you into the lead?
I think the easiest pick here is Chaos Chosen.
Chaos Chosen. Okay, and is that going to be Chaos Chosen for 1, 2, or 3 points, Ben?
I'm going to go the whole hog, 3 points.
3 points. Let's see who you've got.
Do you want the high or low, Milton?
So, this is the final round, unless we need to go to our speed round. So you can, if you guess all 3 correct, rush up to twice for extra teams. So if you get all 3 of these right, you can rush for a 4th, and you can rush for a 5th if you want. But you've got to get the first 3 right first. So let's just focus on that. So Ben has got Chaos Chosen here, and he's up against Dark Elves, then Orcs, then Norse. So Ben is punching up from tier 2 into tier 111 and is probably going to have a tough day. Let's have a look.
They're all 3 bash teams, really. They're all 3 teams that can and like to bash. So, but starting off with Dark Elves, I think Chaos Chosen will bash them.
So Chaos Chosen out bashing Dark Elves.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Chaos Chosen just hate leaving players standing, and even though the Dark Elves have got a cheeky Edge 2+ and quite a lot of dodge when it comes to tournament play, they don't have a Minotaur or a bunch of tiny Minotaurs. So yes, that's 1 for 1 there, Ben. Next up, you've got Chaos Chosen against Orcs.
Okay, so they do have all the strength 4, both teams have equal strength 4. Chaos lose the block from the Orc Blitzers, but they do get a Minotaur, and everyone has horns. The Minotaur dunks on the trolls. So yeah, I'm gonna go get a bash. They're gonna bash the Orcs.
So Chaos
Orcs
Chosen
have a run game.
Chaos Chosen, are they more bash or more dash than Orcs? I've lost my soundboard. Here we go. Ben's gone with bash.
Mm-hmm.
You would be right.
Okay.
In this circumstance, our listeners think that Chaos Chosen have a slight edge on Orcs when it comes to a jolly good bashing, which takes you to the last one here for 3 points and the ability after to rush up to twice. Now, if you do rush, you have to get every one of them right, or somebody can blitz you. So, Norse. Chaos Chosen versus Norse, Ben.
Much like a Minotaur, I'm gonna keep on bashing.
Keep on bashing. Is it 3 for 3 for Bash and 3 for 3 for Ben? It is.
Yeah.
Chaos Chosen being a bit of an easy one there, close there against Orcs and Norse. But you are right. They
It
get
kind of feels like in Top Trumps where you know you've got the God card.
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
No one can stop me now.
So Ben, you can stop here and take the 3 points and go into the lead with 9, or you can take a rush and try a 4th team. Are you going to stick with?
I'm Russian.
You've Russian. Okay, let's have a look.
Yeah.
Your
Frenzy it. Let's hope it's not dwarves.
first rush team is
Oh.
Black Orcs.
Yeah.
So we've got a really tough situation here where we've got 2 of the best bash teams in the game, Chaos Chosen against Black Orcs. Now this, Ben, will get you 4 points and put you into a healthy total of 10, which means that these guys are going to have to rush to catch up with you if you get this one right. So how are you feeling about that?
The Black Orcs. Yeah, and I'm going to go for it. I think the other 2 teams are a lot tougher than Chaos Chosen. I think Black Orcs, they do have 2 more Strength 4 players, but their linemen are very much more a dash than a bash compared to the Beastmen. And the Minotaur, again, is just carries the team. So, yeah, bash again. They're going to bash the Black Orcs.
Bash again. Can Ben go 4 for 4 in the final round? He does. Chaos Chosen absolutely knocking it out of the park here. Okay, Ben, so you are now sitting with 4 points cooking here. Do you going to bank them? Do you going to bank them? Do you going to bank them and go to 10? Which means that Miltonio and Warhammer would have to rush to take the lead or force it into a speed round. Or are you going to go 5 for 5 and rush for a second time?
See, right. I think I've got to do it while I have Chaos. I think I'm going to rush a second time.
I think you've got the.
Okay, Ben is going 5 for 5.
Dwarves might trip me up.
His
Out the top
second rush team is Necromantic. Ben, how are you feeling about Chaos Chosen versus Necromantic?
I think this is pretty good. I think that definitely the bash in this matchup.
Okay, Chaos Chosen out bashing Necro. Our listeners say that you managed to rush for it into the end zone, scoring 5 points and taking you to 11. So swooping into first place there. And
the Warhammer tactic of be slightly last for most of the game and then take it.
Yeah.
Ooh, that was
my tactic is normally do that but remain last. Kind of stall.
All right, so we're going to go back to the board here and have a look at the 2 teams that are remaining. Chaos Chosen are gone, which means Necro and Nurgle. Now,
I'm going to have to roll off here.
we are. Got the dice ready to go here. Milton, high or low?
Hi.
It's a Blood Bowl 6. Milton, you are up next. Would you like Nurgle or Necromantic?
Neither. I'm just thinking here, like the Necromantic are a challenging one because they have the wolves, they have some ghouls, they have a bit of speed, they have a little bit of both. I think the Nurgle are quite slow, so I'm going to go Nurgle.
Going to go with Nurgle. Okay.
Darn.
There we go. Oh, were you going 1, 2, or 3? Hope nobody saw
I'm
that.
going to go 3.
True to form.
He's got to go 5 to be honest. You just say it now.
All right, or 4 to go into the speed round. Okay, here we go. So Nurgle, Milton's chosen Nurgle. The teams he's going to be facing are Halflings, Chaos Renegades, and everybody's favourite no one knows what they do team, Old World Alliance. So let's start off at the top and work our way down. Milton, Nurgle versus Halflings. Are you bashing or are you dashing your way to victory?
I think this has got to be a bash. Those halflings are dodgy little hefty fellas.
Our listeners agree with you. So you've got 1 point there on the board now, Milton. You could be going up to 8 for your second team. Nurgle versus Chaos Renegades. That is a very tough combination there.
Off the bat, the Renegades potentially have more dash with the elf. They get Skaven as well, don't they?
Yeah, just a Skaven lineman. Yep.
Don't know. It's not a matchup I don't think I've ever seen, and I have not played as either of these teams, so that's really difficult. Do you know what? If in doubt, bash. So I'm going to go bash.
Okay. So, Nurgle versus Chaos Renegades. Milton, you think our listeners think that Nurgle are going to bash Chaos Renegades?
Blitz! I want to blitz! I want to blitz!
Okay, unfortunately, Chaos Renegades, our listeners think have got more bash potential than Nurgle. I can see it with the three
that's
big
a hard
guys. It
That
is
tough.
3 big guys versus the 4 strength 4 guys is a really, really tight round there. Milton, that's some bad luck there. But admire your gumption going all the way for it. So we have got a cheeky blitz on the cards here. Warhammer Hannum.
Yeah.
Nurgle versus Old World Alliance to blitz and steal the point.
Yeah. Nurgle will blitz them. Bash them. Whilst blitzing.
Okie dokie. Nurgle outbashing Old World Alliance.
Yep.
We get a steal. Warhammer Hannum jumps in and takes the blitz, stealing that point from Milton.
Can I rush on his turn? FAQ.
Literally making up the rules.
Didn't write that in the rules. I am.
No, it's fine. No,
Yeah.
that would be a bit jammy.
That would be
It's fine.
quite entertaining. All right, cool. So Nurgle is done, which means it leaves you with Necromantic, Ian. So going from last place
I
to
don't
now,
like this, to be honest.
to now picking last in the 3rd round.
Yeah, I don't think Necromantic is an easy one.
And is it going to be for 1, 2?
Obviously, I've got to go 3.
Yep.
Catch up with old BT over there. Smug little look over there.
Right, so your 3 teams with Necromantic are going to be Ogres, Imperial Nobility, and Elven Union. So,
Okay, I think if I can get past Ogres, I've got a chance.
all right, so what do our listeners think when facing Ogres with Necromantic, Ian? Are you bashing them or are you dashing with them?
This is hard, isn't it? Yeah, because I mean, Ogres obviously that's the thing. They can have up to 6 strength 5 guys. If I'm correct in thinking that.
Yes.
But then the rest of the team is like strength 1. So, and Necromantic, the werewolves are quite killy. Although they've lost their whites now, haven't they? They've got
Wraiths, but they still got block.
they've got wraiths.
They've just got no hands.
No hands. Yeah, this is a really tricky one. And they've got the couple of strength 4 flesh golems. They've got ghouls, haven't they? Yeah.
Necromantic have got 0 to 2 ghouls.
Yeah, this is a real mishmash team, isn't it? Kind of do a bit of everything.
They're a pretty solid mid-range team.
I feel like people are more likely to say ogres can bash stuff. So I'm going to say Necromantic are dash.
Okay, so Necromantic dashing versus Ogres, our listeners say. Correct. So 1 for 1 so far, Ian.
Oh, we've lost Ben.
I'm back.
Oh, these things happen. We can still hear him, that's good. All right, can't take the pressure of this final round.
My router just died on the
Against nobility, I feel like Necromantic have the bashing edge because they've got the 2 strength 4s, werewolves with frenzy, they've got the wraiths with block. So yeah, we'll go bash against nobility.
So Necromantic team out bashing Imperial Nobility. He's 2 for 2 now.
Yeah, and I think we'll do a Milton and stick with bash again for Elven Union.
So Necromantic, Elven Union. Is it bash for 3? He gets it. So, Ian, you are now tied with Blood Tithe Ben at 11 points. You can bank it
Be
now.
honest with me. Level with me here, Ben.
Yep.
How good is the last round?
What, the speed round?
Yeah.
Let me have a look at the screen here. The speed round. The speed round is a fun round.
Okay, do you know what? Let's just do it. I'll bank the points and let's see. I know you put a lot of effort into this, so I don't want to deny you the chance to do.
Okay, so Warhammer Hannam is taking the 3 points, tying at 11, and going into the speed round, which I have prepared for. But I forgot to get a little. I forgot to get a little
I can
timer.
dash if you want. But...
I forgot to do a little timer. Right, let's go here. So let's bring up. Now we are going to include Milton in the speed round, and
oh, if I'd have known that.
Oh wow!
And we are going to give each player 30 seconds to answer up to 5 teams, and it's going to be a point per team answered correctly. So there is no. So with Necromantic, your rushing would have been Black Orcs and Goblins.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't actually, because that's quite a tricky.
Necro versus Black Orcs would have been tough.
Yeah, glad.
Are you still with us, BT?
Quick,
No,
do the speed round.
The answer to that one.
Start the round, quick.
I think we've lost Ben, but that's okay because I'm going to bring the speed round teams up. Oh, there's only 3. It's actually only 3 teams.
I am back. I don't think the camera's working. I'm very sorry.
Oh, it's
Technical
all right.
difficulties. This is.
We've done pretty well
fair-
this episode.
To be fair, crying isn't a good look on. So.
Right, here we go. So I'm going
Which
to
is
put...
why I've got an avatar up there.
Yeah.
I'm going to put 30 seconds on the board. And it's going to start with Milton. Milton, would you like vampires, Khorne, or Slan for the speed round?
Slan.
Slan, okay. So let's do this, and then let's do this. So Milton played against a Slan team the last couple of weeks on Fumble. It's just the 3 for the speed round. So that's all right. Okay, Milton, your 30 seconds starts now. Slan versus Elven Union.
Dash.
Bash for Slan.
I said dash.
Oh, dash. Okie dokie. So Slan dashing against Elven Union.
Yep.
I'm afraid that is incorrect, but you can still
Oh,
go.
what?
Slan versus humans. Are they bash or dash?
Dash.
And Slan versus Skaven. Bash or dash?
Dash.
There you go. You get 2 points in that round, Milton. Thank you, iPhone. So, leaving you with a final score today of 9 points. Solid effort. Now we've got Bloodtithe Ben and Warhannam. Now, because Ben's having some tiny technical difficulties here, we're going to let Ian go next, and we can bring Ben in, hopefully, to finish off his round. So, Slan has gone, and Vampires and Khorne are the 2 teams left on the board, Ian.
Khorne, please.
Khorne. Okay. Are you ready?
Yep.
Let's make sure that I am ready. We've got the answers. Have we got the graphic? And this is Khorne, Ian.
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Your 30 seconds starts now. Khorne versus Necromantic.
They bashed them.
They bashed them indeed. Khorne versus Norse. Bash or dash?
I think they dash them.
There we go. And Khorne versus Chaos Renegades. Bash or dash? 5 seconds remaining.
I think they bashed them.
Bash with a B.
Yep.
Not quite, but you do net 2 points. So really putting it on BT here to...
Okay, I'm here.
Okay, we've got Ben. We've lost his camera, but that's okay.
If I turn the camera on, it breaks. So we've got that. So it's all it's all in the voice.
Let's make the camera disappear. It's quite fine. Should have got a little avatar ready for you. Okay, Ben, can you see the screen okay?
Yeah, I can.
All right, fantastic. So you are left with vampires?
Okay.
That's a tough one. Okay.
Neither.
All right. You need 2 to tie with Ian and 3 for the win. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay, your 30 seconds starts now. Vampires versus goblin teams.
Bash.
Vampires versus Chaos Renegades.
Dash.
Delta.
Delta.
And Vampires versus Skaven. Are
Bash,
they
bash, bash.
bash
G.
or dash? So this one for the 3 and the win. Let's check the board. Is Vampires versus Skaven, are they bashing them? Absolute steal there in the last seconds of the last
mate.
round.
That was
Blood
close.
Tithe Ben swoops in
Hey, is
after...
your camera going to start working now?
I will get dropped out if I turn it on.
swoops in and wins. So our very first winner of Bash
That was
or
pretty
Dash is Blood Tithe Ben.
Yeah.
Contestants, thank you ever so much for joining us on the show today.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for the host. That was
Been amazing.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
good fun. I mean, I think this should be a channel on its own, to be honest.
Yeah.
We can do it with mixed teams. There's enough of them. We might have to do a secret team special at some point.
Well,
That
if
would
you
be,
just need to
Oh,
find
yeah.
some other words that rhyme, it doesn't have to just be bash and dash, does it?
the different elements. Oh, I love it. That was great. Oh, guys, thank you ever so much for playing. That was very entertaining. I enjoyed myself. Proper little DM moment. That was wicked. Right. I think that's going to wrap up this probably epic podcast for today. I might actually put Bash or Dash out on its own because it was a chunky bit of time. Milton, Ian, thank you so much for joining us and spending your whole evening with us talking Blood Bowl nonsense.
Absolute pleasure.
Thanks for having us. It's been great.
That was great to have you on. And BT, thank you so much. And congratulations for becoming our first Bash or Dash champion.
What you can do with the prize.
Buy a new camera.
Oh, fantastic. Right, guys, let's wrap it up. Thank you, everybody, for joining us and listening. And thank you to the guests for joining us as well. And Ben, congratulations. Good job, everybody. We're going to go.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
I think Sooty's fallen off your hand.
Ooh. And let's get some play out music here. See you later, guys. Thank you very, very much for joining us. Nah, not doing that. Right. See you next time, guys.